Chapter 24:19. Parting 4. Su Luo grinned at him and raised her eyebrows. Since your grandfather doesn't want to bet, then let's forget about it. This matter ends here. Waving her hand, Su Luo began to leave. Her tightly clenched fists by her side, slightly unsteady steps, an accelerated pace visibly portrayed how nervous she was feeling at the moment. The youth, feeling all the more confident of his conjecture, loudly yelled to stop Su Luo in her tracks. Stop! But Su Luo unexpectedly hastened her pace even more. The youth bellowed furiously while pointing at the mission hall guards. This person murdered her teammates and even slandered them. What the heck are you guys doing? Are you actually letting her go? In light of the youth's fiery accusations, the guard captain immediately stopped Su Luo from leaving. Stop there, Mississippi. Su Luo raised an eyebrow slightly. Are you guys going to believe whatever he says? Someone reported a problem. Thus, it's our duty to handle the matter. I hope you will understand and forgive us, Mississippi. The guard captains had a pretty good attitude. The guard captain's abilities were very strong. Even the youngster's grandfather didn't have the power to order him around. Prompted by an impulse, Su Luo asked, "What is your name?" Su Chong. The guard captain gave a clear and concise answer. Great. When the city lord comes back, I will put in a few words of praise for you, Su Luo proclaimed casually. Huh? The guard captain was momentarily stunned by Su Luo's words. Compliment him in front of the city lord? That would simply be something out of a dream. He assumed that Su Luo was trying to bribe him. However, in reality, Su Luo really admired his neither servile nor overbearing attitude towards law enforcement. Su Luo sauntered unhurriedly to the youth and cast a cold glance at him. Are you sure that you want to bet? The boy sneered. Let's bet. In accordance with the earlier stakes? Of course. Listen up. If Chu Yang colluded with the Thorn members, my head will be yours for the taking. However, if you are just framing Chu Yang, you must forfeit your own head. The youth sneered at Su Luo. Do you dare to bet with your life? Words carry no weight. I'm afraid you won't honor the terms when you lose. Su Luo replied unhurriedly, luring the youngster step by step into her trap. With just one more step, the youth would be jumping into the trap by himself. This one step didn't even require any intervention from Su Luo, as the youth quickly took a piece of paper from a table at the side and put it in writing on the spot. Furthermore, he even had his grandfather sign it. As for Su Luo, the person she was waiting for finally arrived at that moment. What's with this gathering? Are you not working anymore? An ice-cold voice came from the entrance of the mission hall. Everyone turned around to take a look. No way. The 8th elder had actually come in person. With his hands crossed behind his back, the 8th elder walked in slowly at a stable and steady pace. The youngster's grandfather hastily bowed respectfully and greeted the 8th elder. 8th elder. The youngster also hurriedly bowed in response. Your grandson. The 8th elder raised an eye towards the youngster's grandfather. Grandfather Wang hastily answered. Yes, this is my grandson Wang Xiaoyi. Xiaoyi quickly kneeled down and kowtowed one to the 8th elder. No need, the 8th elder said with a wave of his hand. What were you guys betting about earlier? The 8th elder didn't greet Su Luo. Thus, no one was aware that he was actually on Su Luo's side. Grandpa Wang was just about to use this as an opportunity to terminate the bet. However, having seen through his grandfather's thoughts, Wang Xiaoyi quickly jumped out. 8th elder, you came at the right time. You are a man of high standing and impartiality. Would it be possible for you to be a witness for this bet? In order to obtain Fairy Wu Yu's affection and attention, Wang Xiaoyi was even willing to resort to the extremes. Chapter 24:20. Parting 5. The 8th elder had no interest in reading it and frowned solemnly. Nevertheless, he ultimately received the paper with reluctance and quickly skimmed through the black one. After he finished reading, the hairs on the back of his neck stood up. It turned out Su Luo had actually encountered such dangers just now. Why didn't she ask him for help? If she died just like this, then he would never get back his crystal ball of departed spirits. The more the 8th elder read, the darker his face got, and the stiffer his expression became. He even gave a harsh glare to Su Luo. Seeing this, the The spectators suddenly reached a realization. Hadn't the eighth elder's disciple, Lan Ningyan, been killed by Su Luo personally? At that moment, many people felt worried and anxious for Su Luo, even squeezing out a drop of cold sweat on her behalf. With the eighth elder, manager Wang Tu, and Wang Xiaoyi joining forces, it was likely that Su Luo would find it difficult to escape. The guard captain gazed at Su Luo with a hint of worry. The instant Wang Xiaoyi saw the eighth elder's expression, he felt his 90% certainty of succeeding had risen to 100%. He felt overjoyed, and thus eagerly passed the pen over. Eighth elder, just sign here in this blank space. There were a total of 5 copies. The eighth elder, Su Luo, the guard captain, manager Wang, and Wang Xiaoyi, each got 1 copy. After signing the agreement, Wang Xiaoyi immediately grew smug. He pulled out a document from an optical tablet and projected it onto a larger screen, and said proudly, Su Luo, Chu Yang and the others were your teammates this time for the Temple of the Abyss, right? Su Luo replied emotionlessly. Then what about now, where are they? Dead. Su Luo's voice was indifferent. The youngster pointed at Su Luo, filled with justifiable rage. They originally intended to go to the magical beast zone to do missions, but just in order to form a team with you, they ultimately decided to go to the Temple of the Abyss. However, Su Luo, how could you scheme to murder them? Su Luo sneered, her voice carrying a trace of ridicule. What proof do you have that I was the one who caused their deaths? Based on the fact they all died, but you on the other hand, are still alive. The youngster glared at Su Luo angrily. In terms of strength, Chu Yang is much stronger than you, but why did he die? Why did all his teammates die, and only you survived? Su Luo, I hope you can give everyone a reasonable explanation for this. Everyone expressed agreement with Wang Xiaoyi's words one after another. The team went out to complete a mission, but it resulted in the 4 strong ones all dying, leaving only the weakest one alive. This didn't make sense no matter how one looked at it. And so at this time, everyone felt emotionally biased towards Wang Xiaoyi. Wang Xiaoyi was beyond delighted. He was certain that Su Luo would not be able to find evidence to rebut this. The eighth elder swept a sullen gaze towards Su Luo and spoke with an icy voice. Killing a teammate is punishable by hanging. I'm afraid this sentence of being hanged will have to be left for someone else instead. Su Luo's voice was indifferent and calm. Su Luo, could it be that you still refuse to confess even now? You should know, confession shall be dealt with leniency, but denial shall be dealt with severity. Wang Xiaoyi shouted in anger. Su Luo smiled. Have you not heard of a saying? Confession shall be dealt with leniency, and be jailed for life. Denial shall be dealt with severity, and you can be home before New Year's carrot. The youngster was stunned for a brief moment. Su Luo lightly laughed again. Either way, it wasn't me who did bad things. So what do I have to hide? After saying that, Su Luo pulled out a pomelo-sized crystal ball from her sleeves and placed it onto the table. What is this? Everyone inquired one after another. One of them had a keen eye and quite a wealth of knowledge, and shouted out, This thing looks a bit like the memory crystal from the legends. The one that can be picked from the ancient crystal tree, he said while looking at Su Luo with incredulity. Chapter 24-21. Parting 6. There were rumors that the auction house had recently auctioned off a near-death ancient crystal tree for the lowest price ever. This memory crystal fruit couldn't have been born from that tree, could it? Impossible, impossible, absolutely impossible. That ancient crystal tree was on the brink of death. Even if it were a normal ancient crystal tree, it definitely would not be able to produce this type of fruit without 10 years of effort. This is a memory crystal fruit. Su Luo's faint voice carried a hint of chilliness to it. Whatever Chu Yang did is all recorded clearly in here. Do you guys want to see? After saying this, Su Luo went to the extent of sweeping a meaningful glance at Wang Xiaoyi from the corners of her eyes. Su Luo never treated her friends unfairly, but she also never let off her enemies. Just for Fairy Wuyo, Wang Xiaoyi had secretly swapped the missions, causing Su Luo to almost die in the Temple of the Abyss. Due to this, Su Luo wouldn't let off Wang Xiaoyi no matter what. Being gazed at through Su Luo's peripheral vision, Wang Xiaoyi shuddered inside. That couldn't be possible? Could Chu Yang really have colluded with members of the Thorn? Or could it be that this devious girl was just bluffing? With just one glance at this matter, Manager Wang knew his grandson was in hot waters this time. Thus he quickly followed up with a smile. Everyone has heard of memory crystal fruits but hasn't seen it before. Who knows if yours is real or fake? Just forget about it. Su Luo raised her eyebrows and looked at Wang Xiaoyi provokingly, with the corners of her lips curling upwards. Wang Xiaoyi became flabbergasted, and he suddenly asked the eighth elder. If the things in here proves that it was fake, could it be possible to raise the severity of the punishment by another notch? Such as death without an intact corpse? The eighth elder's cold gaze shot towards him, frightening Wang Xiaoyi into instinctively jumping a step backwards. Seeing that, the eighth elder gave a cold snort but nodded anyway. I would rather like to see exactly how Chu Yang colluded with the Thorn members. Wang Xiaoyi was full of confidence because he was very clear. After Chu Yang's father had died to the Thorn, he would never collaborate with members of the Thorn. Thus, as long as he proved that the evidence with them was false, then Su Luo would be dead for sure. He wanted Su Luo dead. Thus, the memory crystal fruit was uploaded onto the optical tablet. Soon a full video clip showed up on the big screen behind. The visual in the clip was Chu Yang negotiating with black-clothed members of the Thorn, and it even included the audio of their voices. The content of their discussion was very clear. It was about how to team up together to murder Su Luo, and even how to chase her to death was clearly planned out. Su Luo wore an indifferent expression. However, Wang Xiaoyi's body trembled. How could this be? How could Chu Yang be colluding with the Thorn members? And he even mentioned Fairy Wuyo, and also mentioned that it was him, Wang Xiaoyi, who had purposely assigned the wrong mission. This was impossible. Impossible. Wang Xiaoyi's body wavered for a moment. What did this mean? It meant that he had smashed a rock onto his own foot, ending up harming himself. It was him, Wang Xiaoyi, who had insisted on betting with Su Luo, and insisted that Su Luo play the recording in the memory crystal fruit. This is fake. It is certainly fake. Definitely fake. Chu Yang and others, those four would have been enough to kill Su Luo. How could they have requested for outside reinforcements? Wang Xiaoyi charged up and grabbed the memory crystal fruit with one hand, fiercely slamming it onto the ground. The memory crystal fruit shattered into fragments. At that moment, Su Luo, who had kept her gaze on Wang Xiaoyi, sneered, finally admitting that you deliberately arranged Chu Yang and the others to come and kill me? Wang Xiaoyi insisted stubbornly. I didn't admit it. Su Luo gave a faint smile. Want me to take out my memory crystal fruit from back when the mission was accepted? Su Luo's right fist opened up and soon after, another memory crystal fruit appeared in her palm. Truthfully, although the visuals in the recording just now were correct, the audio had been edited on. It was Nangong Luyan who had helped her with it, which was why other people could not tell a difference. Looking at the memory crystal fruit in Su Luo's hands, Wang Xiaoyi shrank back. Chapter 24-22, Parting 7. Now he was certain that Su Luo recorded it. If the memory crystal fruits in Su Luo's possession were revealed to the public, the matter of him and Chu Yang colluding to frame Su Luo would be investigated. The punishment for framing your teammates was especially harsh in the genius training camp. Wang Xiaoyi pounced on Su Luo, snatched the memory crystal fruit from her unguarded hands, and smashed it into smithereens. Once the evidence was destroyed, Wang Xiaoyi felt relieved. He looked at Su Luo smugly and laughed triumphantly. Su Luo, now let's see what else you can use to slander me. Su Luo simply wished to leave him a 1-star review on his IQ. She curved her lips calmly. Wang Xiaoyi, the eighth elder is present here as a witness. For you to purposefully destroy the evidence right in front of him. Are you taking the eighth elder to be an idiot or a blind person? Her one sentence pinned Wang Xiaoyi as guilty. Wang Xiaoyi's heart skipped a beat. He was too used to being arrogant to even take a hint of caution. He peeked at the eighth elder. The eighth elder indeed looked most displeased. But so what? The evidence is gone anyway. What more can Su Luo do to me at this point? Wang Xiaoyi thought. Glancing at Wang Xiaoyi with a mocking gaze, Su Luo derided him. My tree has plenty of memory crystal fruits on. It's not difficult for me to produce a few more. Su Luo opened her palm, where another memory crystal fruit appeared. All smiles, she directly stuffed the memory crystal fruit into the 8th elder's hand. It would be best if the memory crystal fruit was in the 8th elder's care. Wang Xiaoyi almost fainted with anger. This damn Su Luo. No wonder she had so casually let me destroy the evidence. It turned out she had another copy. Darn it. Su Luo pulled out another copy of the memory crystal fruit and gave it to the 8th elder. This copy contains a first-hand account of Wang Xiaoyi's words when he just received the mission and irrefutable evidence. Wang Xiaoyi trembled from head to toe. Oh no, oh no, oh no. This time, I'm truly done for. However, how could Wang Xiaoyi possibly know that Su Luo was actually bluffing? He didn't even use his head. If Su Luo had already been suspicious when receiving the mission, why would she choose to go through with it and put herself in a fatal situation? In fact, the crystal fruit containing Wang Xiaoyi's video was completely fabricated. Su Luo lied about its existence. However, because Su Luo had already played a video of Chu Yang, everyone unconsciously thought that Su Luo also recorded Wang Xiaoyi. This was a blind spot of memory. Wang Xiaoyi stared at the paper in his hand. The black font on the white paper stated everything. He wished he could tear the paper into pieces at this instant. He clutched the 8th elder's legs and implored him. What's inside the memory crystal fruit is not real. It's not real. It's not real. Kicking Wang Xiaoyi away, the 8th elder glanced coldly at him. The evidence in the memory crystal fruit is an undeniable proof of Chu Yang's collusion with the thorn. It's a crime deserving of 1,000 deaths. As for Wang Xiaoyi's case, everyone's eyes zeroed in on the 8th elder as they waited for his final decision. If the 8th elder had to pick one among Fairy Wuyo and Wang Xiaoyi, he would definitely choose Fairy Wuyo. The evidence is conclusive that Wang Xiaoyi colluded with Chu Yang to frame Su Luo. As such, in accordance with the agreement established between Su Luo and Wang Xiaoyi, the defeated party will be executed in 3 days. Wang Xiaoyi's body shook as he slumped onto the floor. Grandpa Wang beseeched the 8th elder bitterly to no avail before turning to Su Luo. Su Luo grinned coldly and said, Wang Xiaoyi is not the mastermind behind all this. Naturally, if you can find out who the real mastermind is, he will not have to die. At this critical juncture of life and death, what would Wang Xiaoyi do? After Su Luo left, Wang Xiaoyi ran to find Fairy Wuyo. Chapter 24-23. Questioning 1. Fairy Wuyo had already known about this long ago. Yet she was still beyond furious when she saw Wang Xiaoyi looking for her. So she showed Wang Xiaoyi no mercy. 3 days later, Wang Xiaoyi's body was found in the magical beast zone. After receiving the news, Su Luo was silent for a moment. Then the corners of her mouth raised into a cold, nonchalant smile. By disposing of Wang Xiaoyi in this way, was Fairy Wuyo unafraid of others thinking coldly of her? Wang Xiaoyi had done those things for her after all. However, Su Luo couldn't care less at the moment. She had more important things to do. Although Su Luo dealt with Wang Xiaoyi, it was not that no one had any criticisms towards her. There were not many people in the upstream mountain to start with. In an instant, 5 people that involved themselves with Su Luo were lost. For people from Chu Yang's side and Wang Xiaoyi, the death of these 5 champions would be impossible to leave unnoticed regardless of the true story. Hence the rumors spiraled. When she came back, Su Luo first returned her massive wealth of points to the 6th elder, then checked Ziyan and the others' abilities. 1 month of training in the gravity chamber was worth several years of experience outside. Thus, Ziyan and the others progressed rapidly. She and Bai Qining had already reached 3-star commander rank. The progress of Anya and Lan Xian was even more remarkable. They had now hit the peak of the 10th rank, and were just short of being able to enter the commander rank. However, in the upstream mountain where there were Saint rank powerhouses all over, their strengths were still much too weak. Since Su Luo had made many enemies here, she was afraid that Fairy Wuyo would make moves toward Ziyan and the others. The only way out was to put them in the gravity chamber. This way, they could avoid the risk of encountering Fairy Wuyo while advancing their skills. Su Luo counted the points in her hand. Earlier, she had spent a day with Nangong Luyan in the magical beast area and scored a bounty of points. In addition, she later teamed up with Flame Magical Beast, and easily collected more than 300 million points. Subtracting recent expenditures, Su Luo still had more than 300 million points at her disposal. Bei Qining and the three of them, plus big sister Wei. That's 5 of them in total. Each month they would need 50 million points. Su Luo looked at the sky. She had thought she was already very rich. Nonetheless, who would know that those points she had before could only pay for 6 or 7 months of cultivation for the 5 of them? The gravity chamber was too good at swallowing points. Su Luo's heart ached a little, but she still happily paid 6 months' worth of points for them. 50 times 6. 300 million points slipped through Su Luo's fingers. But Su Luo was looking forward to seeing how much stronger her friends would be in that time period. Only Su Luo would make such a bold move, pouring in all her points to pile up their strength. Returning to Wuxia Mountain, Su Luo heard the rumors through Li Man. After Li Man used Su Luo's spirit absorption pill and went through the marrow cleansing process, she jumped from her original 1-star saint rank to the 2nd-star saint rank. Senior brother Luo Qing and the others also broke through their cultivation blockages and were promoted by a rank. Although it was only 1 rank, realistically, it was very difficult to advance that much at their level. Not everyone could rise as quickly as Su Luo. Li Man muttered to Su Luo, "Why didn't you go participate in this month's assessment?" "What's wrong?" Su Luo asked, unconcerned. "Now everyone is questioning your strength. On top of that, the upstream mountain lost 5 masters at once, and they were all connected to you. This caused the higher-ups to have a very poor impression of you." Chapter 24-24. Questioning 2. Su Luo felt exasperated. She had clearly acted in reasonable self-defense without devious reasons. Yet the result now was that the blame was being placed on her again? Li Man continued to say to Su Luo, "The rumors outside are very unfavorable to you now, and there are organized groups that intend to drive you out of the upstream mountain. What's more, back then when you entered, it was senior brother Luo that brought you in. Now that senior brother Luo is not here, you will suffer a lot without any powerful person to speak out for you. The most important thing is that back then when you came in, you didn't go through the assessment." In other words, up until now Su Luo was still a supernumerary character. If someone wanted to kick her out, it was but a matter of minutes, truly too easy. Just at this time, Su Luo frowned slightly because she heard a mess of footsteps. Boom! The gate was opened by force. A squad of 20 people rushed in like wolves and surrounded Su Luo. Looking at these guards in uniforms, Li Man was on alert in an instant and stood in front of Su Luo yelling, "Who are you people? What do you want to do?" The guard captain pushed Li Man to the side with one hand. On his angular face, his cold eyes were like 2 sharp swords, viciously stabbing at Su Luo. "Su Luo, right? Come with us." Su Luo had a bad feeling. However, since the matter had come to this point, even if it was a sea of flames, she had to barge through it. "Who wants to see me?" Su Luo's voice was calm. The guard captain glanced at Su Luo with an indifferent expression. "The Elder Association. Cut the nonsense. Let's go." After saying that, the guard captain signaled with his eyes to the left and right. 2 people in the team sprung out, going straight to the left and right of Su Luo. Su Luo's 2 icy eyes swept over them. Those 2 people were terrified and subconsciously did not step forward. "Don't bother, I can walk by myself." Su Luo had no idea whether she would meet a blessing or a curse this time. If it was a curse, then she couldn't avoid it. She had to make a trip. Anyway, she was open, honest, and had not done anything wrong. So who was afraid of whom? Let's go. Su Luo looked normal, calm but terrifying. She instead took the lead to walk outside. The guard leader was on the other hand deceived by Su Luo's straightforward behavior. A glimmer of appreciation flashed in his eyes. "Luo." Li Man grabbed Su Luo's sleeves, looking nervous and perturbed. "Absolutely don't force yourself to act strong. If all else fails, use your identity." Li Man personally had confirmed that Su Luo's diamond token was real, which meant that Su Luo was indeed sent in by the city lord. "Don't worry, it's just a trivial matter. You all should practice hard at home, and wait for me to come back to take you out to surprise people with your skills." Su Luo smiled and patted her hand before turning around and leaving. Su Luo knew that this time things would not be that simple. Why would matters that had already subsided make waves again? There was no need to guess. There must be someone stirring up trouble behind the scenes. As for who that person behind was, Su Luo thought that anyone unable to guess who this person was the fool here. There was a route from Senior Brother Luo's manor to the Elder's Hall that would not take particularly long or extend far. However, because she had the golden airship, it took less than 4 hours to fly to the destination. The golden airship landed steadily on the road. The guard captain gazed at the girl who looked calm and had her eyes closed during the whole journey. A dash of admiration flashed through his eyes. When he passed by her, he whispered, "Fifth Elder." Chapter 24-25. Questioning 3. Su Luo slowly opened her eyes. Her animated eyes flashed with streams of light, swept over him, and whispered, "Many thanks." The 3 words, "the Fifth Elder," already revealed a lot of information. When Su Luo swept a glance over the guard leader from the corners of her eyes, a light blush lightly appeared on his cold and rigid face. He had been in the genius training camp since he was born, but had never seen such a beautiful girl. Thus, when he was looked at with such intent, he subconsciously felt a little shy. The guard captain coughed and pretended as if nothing was wrong. "Do you need help?" Su Luo thought for a while. She did need help, and so she spoke to the guard leader. "Please help me to inform the 6th Elder of the Pill Refining Tower to come." Su Luo had tried to notify the 6th Elder on the way. However, because the 6th Elder was busy in the laboratory for years and years, therefore the communication jade had just become a piece of decoration. The guard captain was only asking politely. He didn't expect Su Luo to really ask for his help. "You trust me?" His eyes were full of surprise. Su Luo nodded with a light smile. "Yes, I trust you. I believe that a guy who blushes when he sees a girl can't be that bad, no matter how bad he is." The guard leader did not know that Su Luo added that sentence inside her head. Knowing Su Luo placed her trust in him, he solemnly nodded. "I will help you." The guard captain had also seen Fairy Wuyu, who was certainly beautiful. However, he disliked her lustful indulgence from the bottom of his heart. He felt that, compared to the beautiful girl in front of him, Fairy Wuyu was nothing short of trash. He really couldn't understand how those men were blinded and kept going for her. This problem had bothered the guard captain for so many years, but has never been solved. After sending Su Luo into the Elder's Hall, the guard captain personally took the trip for Su Luo. As for Su Luo, at this moment, she was standing in the middle of the Elder's Hall, a place that was spacious and bright, floored with ancient sunken wood and decorated with understated noble elegance and luxurious splendor. After the guards brought Su Luo in, they filed out and left undisturbed, leaving Su Luo standing alone here. Suddenly, Su Luo felt that her mind was gradually becoming a little heavier. "No, it's not right. The phantom cold rosemary." It was actually this kind of incense being burned in the hall. Very few people knew that the phantom cold rosemary had a hallucinogenic function. When Su Luo followed Master Rong Yun learning to refine medicine, reading books all day long, and reading all the rare books, she obtained a wide range of knowledge. Thus, she immediately recognized it. The phantom cold rosemary, when inhaled in excess, would not only cause psychedelia but also make the person excited, especially encouraged to talk. Even if the mouth were gagged, it wouldn't stop people from talking. An excellent means of extracting confessions. The phantom cold rosemary, after being lit, unless the incense burned out completely, even if it was soaked in water, it could not be extinguished. Now in the hall, the doors and windows were closed, the air was trapped inside, and the smell of the phantom cold rosemary was getting stronger and stronger. This was a deadlock. A sneer flashed under Su Luo's eyes. The other party thought they had a scheme in play. So, even though Su Luo had already seen the key plot, she still had to follow the steps designed by the other side to go along with the other party's scheme. The corner of Su Luo's mouth evoked a sly sneer. Using the phantom cold rosemary on her, a quasi-grandmaster apothecary, they were really not afraid of being embarrassed. Chapter 24-26. Interrogation 4. With a sweep of her hand, Su Luo showered it with the top-grade celestial spirit water like a heavy downpour of rain. The fragrant incense pot was instantly extinguished by the top-grade celestial spirit water. That's right. The top-grade celestial spirit water was the nemesis of the phantom cold rosemary. At this moment, though the elders were not present in the hall, they could nevertheless see this scene in the hall clearly through the crystal ball. When the fifth elder saw Su Luo spray out the water, he snickered. Overestimating your abilities. Nevertheless, who would have thought that the moment Su Luo made a move, the phantom cold rosemary incense would actually be extinguished? The fifth elder's snicker had yet to fade when his face stiffened like iron, utterly dumbfounded like someone had walked up and slapped him. Coming back to his senses, he flew into a rage out of humiliation. The phantom cold rosemary was the work he prided in most. He was confident that no one could solve it except himself. Who would have thought that Su Luo would easily break it with a wave of her hand? Looking at the fifth elder's choked-up appearance, the eighth elder suddenly couldn't help but break into laughter. Old fifth, it seems that your abilities aren't that great. The fifth elder glared viciously at the eighth elder. What the hell do you know? The eighth elder stroked the white beard on his chin. I might not know squat, but can you admit that you don't know squat as well? The fifth elder went ballistic, wishing to cross swords with the eighth elder at the very moment. The fourth elder pulled the two elders apart, one to the left and one right. What are you doing? Let's stop the fuss. Calm down. You are both at this age, yet still so impulsive. In the genius training camp, the fourth elder was well regarded and quite respected by everyone. The fifth elder waved his sleeve heavily and turned around with a huff. Since the phantom cold rosemary incense has been extinguished, there is no need to wait any longer. Someone bring that girl up here. The fourth elder's expression became serious. When Su Luo was escorted up into the room, she found it to be an ordinary room. However, the people seated in the room were anything but ordinary. The fifth elder, Li Luoming's master. The seventh elder, Fairy Wu Yu's master. The eighth elder, whose soul was under Su Luo's control. There was also a fair-skinned bearded elder with a face of righteousness. As to whether he was really righteous, Su Luo could not tell at the moment. These four elderly men were seated in a row with a long log table in front of them. Meanwhile, Su Luo calmly stood alone in front of them, allowing them to evaluate her. At this moment, Su Luo actually felt like she was being interviewed. State your name. The fifth elder stared at Su Luo with a cold sneer. His malice was clear as day. His stance was clear. He was against Su Luo. Su Luo. Who is your teacher? Rongyin. Su Luo smiled faintly. Grandmaster Rongyin? The fifth elder almost jumped high in the air when he heard that. You're lying. The fifth elder slapped the table and roared angrily. Master Rongyin doesn't even accept attendance. Why would he accept an apprentice? Su Luo looked at the fifth elder with a grin and shrugged nonchalantly. How do you know that my master isn't accepting attendance anymore? Could it be that the fifth elder has applied to be my master's attendant? Fifth elder. His throat felt like it was being pinched. His face turned red and then white, colored by both embarrassment and anger. He was the overseer of the pill refining tower in the majestic Purgatory City. Yet he failed to get enlisted as Master Rongyun's attendant, certainly a matter worthy of shame. Momentarily, he was left speechless with anger. Su Luo glanced at the fifth elder. Displeased, she dropped a sentence with a frown. What is there to be ashamed of? My master's attendance must be at least at the grandmaster level. It's only natural that you weren't accepted for the job. Chapter 24-27. Interrogation 5. The fifth elder felt as though he had been given a vicious slap, leaving him tittering in his anger. His eyes turned bloodshot as he glared at Su Luo. If not for the shred of intelligence left in his fuming mind, he would have already rushed over in utter fury. The fourth elder tugged at the fifth elder's sleeve to signal to him to keep quiet. Are you sure that your master is Grandmaster Rongyin? The fourth elder calmly looked at Su Luo. Grandmaster Rongyun was the unanimous first place among all apothecaries in the continent, and any emperor pills refined by him would cause everyone to rush in a mad frenzy to obtain them. Furthermore, not only was Grandmaster Rongyun exceedingly distinguished in his achievements as an apothecary, he was also an expert that could match up to the city lord in terms of martial arts. Who would dare to offend him? Now this last Su Luo was actually saying that she's Grandmaster Rongyun's disciple? How would people dare believe her? Yes. Su Luo moved about in a carefree manner, her hands crossed behind her back as she proudly stood up. If not for the presence of a strong backing, the calm and proud manner she was able to maintain before the group of elders would indicate that she did not fear anyone at all. The seventh elder swirled his steaming cup of fragrant tea and took a gulp, before speaking on in a slow manner. Since Grandmaster Rongyun is your master, why do you still want to come to Purgatory City? Could it be that you're unaware that City Lord and Grandmaster Rongyun are irreconcilable enemies? The corners of the seventh elder's eyes rose to form an ambiguous smile, as he swept a thoughtful glance at Su Luo. His eyes were filled with ridicule, as though he had already determined that she was lying. My master had indeed not wanted for me to come over. Su Luo recalled the situation then. Oh, the seventh elder dragged out his response. However, my adoptive father was adamant on me coming to Purgatory City. Furthermore, my master lost a bet to my adoptive father, so I headed over here. In an honest recount, Su Luo's words were the truth, with not one bit of a lie present within. However, the few elders present here clearly did not believe her. Purgatory City was cut off from the outside world, with its citizens being severely restricted from traveling across the continent without any special extenuating reasons. Therefore, the citizens of Purgatory City did not know about the penultimate fight that occurred. Moreover, these few elders were not one bit interested in the matters of the continent, as they felt that the people over there were akin to weak ants, leaving them utterly clueless to the happenings in the outside world. Therefore, the elders exchanged smiles with each other after hearing that Grandmaster Rongyun had lost. In fact, the seventh elder had a beaming smile on his face as he looked towards Su Luo. So Grandmaster Rongyun actually lost? Having finished his question, the seventh elder sipped on his fragrant tea to soothe his throat. My adoptive father is the city lord. Su Luo subconsciously revealed this explosive news. Her reply was quick, with a tone one would use when saying a fact. However, puff, the seventh elder violently spurted out the tea in his mouth. Fortunately, Su Luo managed to duck in time, to prevent her face from being covered in tea. Su Luo was instantly displeased as she shouted out loudly, "Seventh elder, you're attempting murder." The seventh elder always held himself with grace and poise, so how could he tolerate his ungraceful action? Furthermore, him being chastised by Su Luo in front of everyone caused him to fill up with so much anger his eyes turned round. You wretched lass! Of anyone you could involve in your proclamation, you actually dare to pass yourself off as Sir City Lord's adopted daughter. You're really tossing your life away. The seventh elder roared as he rushed forward to mete out justice against Su Luo. Nevertheless, the fourth elder held on to the seventh elder's shoulders. Old seventh, calm down. Don't be impulsive. While doing so, the fourth elder's mind was still submerged in dizzying confusion. The disciple of Grandmaster Rongyun, the adopted daughter of the city lord. If those two identities were real, it was more than sufficient to cause chaos across the entire continent. Chapter 24-28, Interrogation 6. The fourth elder frowned. This girl's rapid improvement in refining pills was a clear demonstration that she was indeed brilliant, so whether she truly was Grandmaster Rongyun's disciple was certainly open to debate. However, the fourth elder refused to believe that she was the city lord's adopted daughter, because he knew that what annoyed the city lord the most was the mundane world. He couldn't stand meeting with people and was extremely distant overall. If the city lord truly welcomed an adopted daughter, the fourth elder swore that he would chomp down on the table in front of him right there and then. He questioned Su Luo. What proof do you have? What proof do you want? Su Luo's tone was as unperturbed and unexcited as it was at the beginning. The fourth elder glanced in Su Luo's direction inadvertently in slight admiration. In front of the four of them, she did not show timidness nor arrogance. She was also neither too overbearing nor too servile. Rather, she acted calm and collected, a rare occurrence for someone so young. Prove that you are a disciple of Grandmaster Rong Yun, the fourth elder said. Su Luo smiled as her gaze fell on the fifth elder. The fifth elder can prove it for me. The fifth elder angrily smacked the table. Nonsense. How can I prove it for you? How about I prove that you're a swindling fiend? Su Luo slowly approached the fifth elder, holding eye contact and a cheeky grin. Fifth elder, you have seen it with your own eyes that my pill refining skill is better than yours. Why you? The fifth elder's boiling rage turned his face ashen. The taste of that medicinal cauldron. I guess it wasn't too bad? Su Luo asked. Bang! The fifth elder slammed his fist on the long table. A hole had broken through the piece of furniture from the impact. The fourth elder took a hint and silently looked away. Previously, he had heard that the fifth elder had lost a bet to that girl Su Luo. He would not have guessed that it was true. The fifth elder's attitude on the matter was sufficient proof of Su Luo's pill refining skill. She was already a quasi-grandmaster class apothecary at such a young age. Only Grandmaster Rong Yun could teach and raise someone to that level. Su Luo is Grandmaster Rong Yun's disciple, of this there was no doubt. However, since you are Grandmaster Rong Yun's disciple, you definitely can't also be the city lord's adopted daughter. The seventh elder sat there in a composed manner, yet his eyes were cold and hostile. Everyone knows that the city lord and Grandmaster Rong Yun get along like water and fire. How could he take Grandmaster Rong Yun's disciple in as his adopted daughter? One after another, the elders nodded their heads in agreement. Su Luo smiled yet again, took out the diamond token, and dangled it before the company. How would you explain this diamond token then? The fourth elder took it and carefully inspected it. His expression changed drastically. During the second of attention the seventh elder gave the diamond token. His gaze flickered in its direction, and he snorted. If I remember correctly, the city lord gave out several diamond tokens back then, right? Indeed. The fourth elder nodded. During the magical beast invasion long ago, several outstanding people contributed greatly to the cause. The city lord gave out 3 diamond tokens to them as a reward. Many years have passed since then, and those 3 diamond tokens are now unaccounted for. Miss Su, where exactly did you get this diamond token? The fourth elder frowned while saying the last sentence. Su Luo seemed amused when she replied. You guys don't believe me? I only blame you for lying so recklessly and with so many flaws. It is easy to tell that you cannot be trusted, the seventh elder scoffed. If you really were adopted by the city lord, why didn't he tell us elders about it? Su Luo remembered that her master had advised her not to reveal her identity, saying it was better that way. Presently, since these people did not believe her, Su Luo could not be bothered to continue with this nonsense. Chapter 24-29. Interrogation 7. You guys don't have to believe it if you don't want to. You'll face the consequences when the city lord returns. Su Luo said, expressing her disapproval. The seventh elder was so angry that he almost jumped up. Who did this brat think she was? How dare she spew such harsh words? Good. We'll see how the city lord will come back and expose you, little liar. The seventh elder sneered. You know the consequence for impersonating the city lord's relative is for your entire family to be one. Don't worry. He won't do that unless he wants to exterminate himself as well. Su Luo spoke eloquently, not giving in to the seventh elder in the slightest. It angered the seventh elder to the point of jumping up again. At this time, the fourth elder glared at Su Luo seriously. Miss Su, don't repeat this again once you've exited the door, otherwise, even this old man won't be able to protect you. The fourth elder didn't believe that Su Luo was related to the city lord, but thinking that she might be Grandmaster Rong Yun's disciple, he was a little more polite towards Su Luo. Su Luo smiled lightly, and did not express an opinion on what the fourth elder said. Instead, she asked, if there's nothing else, am I free to go? Su Luo turned around to leave after finishing her sentence. Wait! The seventh elder called out to Su Luo. What kind of place do you think this is, that you can come and go whenever you want? I didn't wish to come here. Su Luo muttered. The elders were greatly skilled, so they naturally heard it clearly. The seventh elder glared at Su Luo. He had seen many people and had raised more than just 1 or 2 disciples, But he had never seen such an unruly, difficult to tame, and sharp-tongued brat like Su Luo. The main difference was that other students knew to revere the elders. Only Su Luo seemed to have no fear because she had something to rely on, instead, looking at them like someone looking at their domestic slaves. Pui Puitu. The seventh elder hurriedly squeezed that sudden thought out of his head. What domestic slaves? They were clearly elders who were mighty and imposing, okay? So the more the seventh elder looked at Su Luo, the more he disliked her, and the more he thought of making things difficult for her. The seventh elder trailed a long tone and looked at Su Luo coldly. Because of you, 5 students with excellent potential died in Upstream Mountain, and you have nothing to say? What does the seventh elder want me to say? Su Luo glanced away indifferently. The seventh elder was furious and smacked the table heavily. Su Luo, do you believe that I can kill you immediately just because of this attitude of yours? If you dare try to kill me, you will be the one who will be killed when my adoptive father returns. Su Luo laughed coldly. The seventh elder was extremely angry. You still want to impersonate his relative? Whether it's an impersonation or not, we'll know when my adoptive father returns. Su Luo had a casually relaxed expression. The several elders glanced at each other. With Su Luo acting so fearlessly because she had someone to rely on, who could really be sure that Su Luo was impersonating? Perhaps the city lord had a lapse of judgment. Pui Pui Pui. The several elders hit themselves on the head in succession. The fourth elder saw that the seventh elder and Su Luo got hostile with each other the more they spoke, so he simply took over. Su Luo, those 5 people were all in the top 100 of the dragon list. Each one of them was a treasure of the Upstream Mountain, and not people who could die in vain like that. Do you understand? Are you saying that you want to use my life to pay for that? Su Luo lightly threw out this line. Not so much as paying back with your life, since you have already proved your innocence, as evidenced by the 8th elder. The 4th elder looked grave and stern as he said resolutely, but if you still want to stay in Upstream Mountain, you must prove your own strength. Otherwise, we can only ask you to leave voluntarily. On a normal day, leaving would be fine. It wasn't as if Su Luo couldn't stay in the Midstream Mountain. She could go there and proclaim her rule as the strongest. However, the problem was that Su Luo had already brought Ziyan and the other 3 over. The gravity chamber was so important to their cultivation. How could I leave just because they said so? Chapter 2430, Interrogation 8. And how should I prove it? Su Luo coldly spat out. The 7th elder and the 5th elder stood together on the same side, while the 4th elder remained neutral. At the moment, only the 8th elder stood by her side. This situation was far from favorable. A trace of smugness lurked in the depths of the 5th elder's eyes, as he interposed into their conversation. Those 5 people had a combined strength roughly equal to a person ranked 50th on the dragon list. Oh, the corners of Su Luo's lips curled up slightly. The corners of the 5th elder's lips carried an evil sneer. So long as you can prove that your strength has become equivalent to the 50th ranked individual dragon list, the deaths of those 5 people would be merely deemed normal deaths. Thereupon, nobody will continue to hold you accountable for them. Or else. Su Luo crossed her arms over her chest nonchalantly. Or else, you can get the hell out of Upstream Mountain. The 5th elder rose to his full height with a snarl. Su Luo's gaze swept across the rest of the elders' faces. Besides slightly frowning 8th elder, the other 3 elders evidently seemed to share the same opinion. 4th elder agrees as well. Su Luo asked the 4th elder, who stood neutral. The 4th elder gazed at Su Luo, his expression cold and solemn. You were brought in by Xiao Luo. However, you did not take the assessment, and you don't have a proper one. Even if you personally do not care, you should still consider this on Xiao Luo's behalf. Su Luo nodded, expressing her understanding. At this time, the 8th elder spoke up. Certainly, you ought to participate in this assessment. However, achieving rank 50th may prove challenging. Who here isn't aware that Wu Yao is the current holder of the 50th position? Can Su Luo surpass Wu Yao? All 3 of you bullying Grandmaster Rong Yun's disciple in this fashion is in no way pleasant. The 5th elder's expression looked grim. The seventh elder sent a fierce glare at the eighth elder. The fourth elder pondered silently. Hee, for the first time ever, old eighth's words are pleasant to hear. A chuckle sounded from outside, attracting everyone's eyes to the source. Came into their sight was an elderly man, whose garments were stained with all sorts of chemicals. Those allowed to enter this room were limited to the members of the elder standing. As such, when the sixth elder appeared, he only elicited a slight frown on everyone's brows. The fifth elder glanced at the sixth elder. Go busy yourself with your medicines. We don't need you here. The fifth elder knew that the sixth elder and Su Luo were of the same ilk, sharing vile habits and even deeming themselves good friends regardless of the age difference. Their relationship was beyond good. As such, his coming here can only be to help Su Luo, which was why the fifth elder attempted to drive the sixth elder away. However, the sixth elder had flown over with haste, so how could he be dismissed with just a single sentence? Instead, he squeezed himself by the fifth elder's side, shoving the fifth elder to the side, as he coldly snorted. Old fifth, you are simply severely overstepping. The fifth elder gazed angrily. What utter nonsense. The sixth elder glanced across to the seventh and fourth elders. You all don't want the Su girl, right? Very well, then let me take her back with me. You all might not want here, but our pill refining tower is more than willing to fight to have her. Old sixth, shut your mouth. The fifth elder rebuked. The jurisdiction of the pill refining tower lies with me. Not you who can enter or not, depends on my word. The sixth elder coldly sneered. When my mood is pleasant, I can address you as fifth brother, but otherwise you are nothing. Do you want to compare and see who among the two of us is the first in the pill refining tower, and the true leader of the pill refining tower? While saying so, the sixth elder rolled his sleeves up, as if preparing to start a big fight. Originally, he and the fifth elder held co-jurisdiction over the pill refining tower. Nevertheless, by virtue of his slightly stronger abilities in refining medicine, he was the head despite having a lower rank. However, because he deemed managing these mundane worldly matters tedious, he dumped all of the jurisdiction to the fifth elder, resulting in fifth elder gradually becoming the face of the tower. When the sixth elder spewed out these words, the fifth elder was angered to the point of nearly fainting. Chapter 2431. Interrogation 9. No, the seventh elder shouted. Wouldn't letting Su Luo go to the pill refining tower with the sixth elder as her backer allow her to live even more comfortably? The seventh elder wanted Su Luo driven out, not driven to a better life. Then what do you want? The sixth elder side-eyed him. The sixth elder, as the head of all the pill refiners in Purgatory City, held a high status. Even among the elders group, he was given utmost respect. After all, who would take their own lives as jokes and offend the number one pill refiner for no reason? The seventh elder smiled faintly. Wuyo is ranked 50th. If this girl tries for the 50th, it would be quite difficult indeed. However, doesn't she hold a life and death contract with Wuyo? There is no harm in having the competition in advance. The sixth elder replied quite discourteously. How old is your precious Wuyo? Around 30, right? My little one here is only a teenager. Do you have the nerve to compare her with your Wu girl? You really have the nerve? Are you serious right now? Do you know how much our Su girl's strength has grown in this past half year? Yet you're still competing in advance? Who's going to do that with you? In the next half year, our Su girl's strength will make another huge leap. Do you think everyone is like your old disciples, with no progress after so many years? The sixth elder's body leaned forward, confronting him step by step. The seventh elder could only back down as he was nearly forced to the ground. He had indeed been rendered speechless by the sixth elder. Although he had a red face and clenched fists, he couldn't find any words to retaliate. The fourth elder pulled the sixth elder back. If you have something to say, then say it properly. Why the urgency? How can you not feel the urgency? You people are ganging up to bully our Su girl. Of course you don't feel any urgency. The sixth elder grumbled. The fourth elder let out a long sigh. He was aware that the sixth elder was unruly, but he hadn't expected for him to persist in such behavior for long. Then what do you suggest? The fourth elder asked for the sixth elder's opinion. 70th rank. The 6th elder moved a stool and sat down calmly. Don't glare, Su girl has only been in the genius training camp for so long. To be promoted to that rank this quickly already requires a genius among geniuses. You should hold yourself to the same expectations you ask, and see if you would measure up. As he said this, the 6th elder directed his gaze at the 5th and 7th elders, offending those 2 elders so much they nearly smacked him with the soles of their shoes. No, it can't be 70th rank. That was too easy. How could it force Su Luo to be driven away? The 5th elder firmly disagreed. 51st rank. The 7th elder slammed his case. 51st? If you came to Upstream Mountain for a few months, could you immediately soar to 51st? What right do you have to make others do what you yourself cannot? 69th. 69th at the worst. No. 52. 68. 53. 67. The 2 high-status elders who countless people looked up to at this time were like people bargaining for food at the vegetable market, yelling loudly and slamming the table, each roaring louder than the other. At last, they finally agreed. Su Luo had to be assessed to the 60th rank. If Su Luo could not pass for 60th rank, she had to pack up and leave. The 6th elder glanced at Su Luo helplessly. He could only assist her so far. Su Luo gave the 6th elder a comforting smile. It's just the 60th rank. Don't push yourself too hard. If there's no other way, then there's still the pill refining tower. With old 6th here, no one will dare to stop you from entering. The 6th elder slapped his chest and sent a deliberate look toward the 5th elder. The 5th elder was angered by this. He felt his chest tighten and his eyes nearly rolled back. Chapter 2432, Advancement 1. You. The 5th elder gasped out loudly. The 6th elder sneered, gazing directly at the 4th elder. The one with the power to make decisions had been the 4th elder from the start. The 4th elder looked deeply at Su Luo with profound and unpredictable eyes. No one knew what he was thinking. Facing the expectant gazes from both sides, the 4th elder finally came to a decision. Then let it just be the 60th rank. Do either of you have any objections? The 5th elder and the 7th elder looked at each other. Although the 60th rank was difficult, with Su Luo's bizarre luck, who knew? She might be able to muddle through. However, with those little moves, the 5th elder reluctantly waved his hand. Forget it. For the sake of the 4th elder, 60th rank can just be 60th rank. The 4th elder turned to Su Luo. Su Luo nodded with a light smile. Okay. Speaking in terms of her current abilities, although it would be difficult to reach the 60th rank, it was not impossible. Furthermore, the assessment was going to officially begin after 3 days. After returning to Wuxia Mountain, Li Man rushed up nervously. How was it? Did they make things difficult for you? Su Luo waved her hand. It can't be said to have been difficult, but they did bring up a point. What point? If I don't make it to the top 60 in this end-of-month assessment, then I can only be kicked out of Upstream Mountain. Su laughed lightly with detachment. What? Li Man agitatedly pulled at Su Luo's hands. 60th rank? How could they ask you to make it to the 60th rank? How long ago did you enter? How is it possible to test for 60th rank? How could they do this? Then did you agree? Agreed. Su Luo smiled with a very leisurely appearance. Muddled. Su Luo, you're too muddled. This is an entirely impossible matter. You'll be driven out of Upstream Mountain. Li Man was extremely worried. If Su Luo was driven out, then what? Aside from everything else, Fairy Wuxia would definitely expend all efforts to chase her down. Because once outside of Upstream Mountain, she would have nothing to worry about. Su Luo did not answer, only smiling. Within these 3 days, don't let anyone disturb me. After saying this, Su Luo entered the underground cultivation chamber, closing the door tightly. Ugh. Li Man sighed loudly from where she was. Su Luo was currently only at the strength of a 2-star saint rank. How could she test past the 60th rank? This was truly worrying. Li Man stomped her feet and hurriedly ran to discuss this with others in the team. Su Luo set a strict order for this matter not to be deliberately concealed. And so in less than a day's time, the news had spread through the entire upstream mountain. What? You said that Su Luo, who was 100th on the dragon list after entering, vowed to test for 60th rank. Originally, she was going to test for 50th rank, but the elders advised her, and so she reluctantly decided to test for 60th rank. Hahaha, this is simply the funniest joke I've heard in my life. Nothing can compare. A person ranked first from the bottom actually wants to test for 60th rank. Doesn't she know how difficult it is for us to move up just one place on the dragon list? I heard it's only been a few months since she entered. No wonder she doesn't understand any rules, daring to pretend to be the hero. Haha, it seems she'll be driven out very soon. The people outside discussed fervently, and even distorted the matter into Su Luo taking the initiative to ask to test for 60th rank. If someone said that Fairy Wuyo had no hand in this matter, who would believe it? Wuyo Pavilion. Fairy Wuyo wore a pure white, light gauze garment with her shoulders half exposed. Her red undergarment was faintly visible, and the bulges on her chest were lifted, displaying an alluring appearance. Lin Banli, Emoze, and several others were gathered around Fairy Wuyu, coaxing and holding her. Chapter 2433, Advancement 2. Emoze plucked an amber grape with his own hands and gently fed it into Fairy Wuyu's vermilion lips. As he continued to feed her, Emoze told Fairy Wuyu about the rumors outside. Do you all think that girl would be able to get the 60th place in the exam this time around? Fairy Wuyu's tone sounded enigmatic, as though she was an empress looking down from above. That's absolutely impossible. It's unreasonable no matter how I think about it. Emoze replied in a flattering manner. At this moment, however, Lin Banli sighed softly in his heart. He thought back to the time when he was in the inner city, where he witnessed Su Luo's test in the genius training camp with his own eyes. At that time, she was not even at the commander rank. How long has it been since then? Now she was already so powerful that even Fairy Wuyo had to be afraid of her? 60th on the dragon list? Fairy Wuyu was 50th on the dragon list. Lin Banli truly felt that the world was unpredictable, with no constants at all. Fairy Wuyu glanced over towards Banli. Little Lindsay, what do you think? Lin Banli smiled. Unless she's the reincarnation of an immortal, how could she possibly reach the 60th place? In the records of the dragon list, nothing would be able to explain a jump from the bottom of the dragon list to the 60th place in 6 months. Who knew that Fairy Wuyu would shake her head? You guys are underestimating her too much. Fairy Wuyu snorted coldly. She was able to get Chu Yang and the others killed. Even if she is not that strong, her means and craftiness make up for it. Furthermore, and even if her means and methods are not enough, her luck will make up for the rest. In short, that wench is definitely not to be underestimated. Then this time, we will also participate in the examination. Fairy Wuyu, who had not participated in the examination for a whole year, had decided to participate in this examination. Fairy Wuyu smiled coldly. With her participating personally, she didn't believe that Su Luo would still have a chance to live. By the way, what rank has Su Luo been promoted to? Fairy Wuyu's eyelids twitched. 2-star Saint rank, Emoze dutifully reported. Only 2-star Saint rank, huh? Fairy Wuyu snorted, very unimpressed. On Wuchen Mountain, Su Luo locked herself up in the basement. It was pitch black all around her, to the point where one would not be able to see one's fingers. Su Luo sat on a mat with her fingers resting on her knees, and facing upward while her eyes were closed tightly. Suddenly, the corners of her mouth curled up into a light smile. She proceeded to take out a transparent dragon jade from space. The main reason why she dared to agree to take the 60th place in the exam was due to this dragon jade. She recalled that time at the Temple of the Abyss when she held up the crystal fruit lovingly and gazed at it. The crystal fruit had recorded in detail the past few days she had spent with Nangong Luyan. When Nangong Luyan saw it, he insisted on wanting to take it away. With a grin, Su Luo said, "Well, let your little plum blossom take a good look and recognize your status." Subsequently, Nangong Luyan unfastened a dragon jade from his waist. In his left hand he held the dragon jade. In his right hand, he held the heart of darkness. She didn't know how he did it, but he was actually channeling the spiritual energy from the heart of darkness into the dragon jade. At that time, Su Luo's eyes had sprung wide open, and she did not blink at all, as if her entire being was struck by dumbfoundedness. Nangong Liuyun's action had opened the door to her new world to a new horizon. What is this for? Su Luo cautiously asked. To help you get a promotion, Nangong Liyun said naturally. Huh. Su Luo replied with a dazed look on her face. Since you have come a long way here, you have to collect some benefits, don't you think? Nangong Liuyun's smile was as suave as ever. That kind of suave smile made Su Luo's heart melt, causing her to subconsciously nod and reply, "Oh." Chapter 2434, Advancement 3. Nangong Liyun smiled. If he had a free hand, he would definitely pat Su Luo's little head. This dark heart of yours, wasn't it meant to be handed over to your queen? Su Luo's eyes shimmered as her eyes fluttered, appearing extremely adorable. Indeed, it was intended for her. Nangong Liuyun's tone was calm and indifferent. When he looked down and saw Su Luo pouting her lips, he couldn't help but chuckle. It's all right to just hand over an empty shell to her. Su Luo was instantly filled with joy. Wrapping her arms around Nangong Liuyun's waist, she looked up in elation. However, a slight worry also welled up within her. Wouldn't you get discovered? Yes, she is not stupid. Nangong Liyun continued to pour spiritual energy out of the dark heart. When the spiritual energy was almost 95% transferred, he stopped with satisfaction. Won't it be bad if she finds out? Su Luo's heart filled with worry. Indeed, it would be bad. But even if she finds out, so what? Nangong Liyun was fearless and brimming with confidence. You're not afraid of her? Su Luo asked curiously. Not at all. Why? Su Luo was burning with curiosity. Are you afraid of Fairy Wuyu? Would you give her the treasure that could increase her strength? Nonsense. How could I be afraid of her? Why would I possibly help her increase her strength? It won't be long before I'll be able to defeat her soundly. Su Luo clenched her fist and swore. Same here. Nangong Liyun replied straightforwardly. Before Su Luo could react, he shoved the dragon jade that had absorbed the essence of the dark heart into Su Luo's arms and earnestly cautioned her by saying, if you absorb the aura inside, your strength will increase by leaps and bounds. However, there will be side effects. Piqued by curiosity, Su Luo asked while grasping the dragon jade, what side effects? A month-long coma, Nangong Liyun warned solemnly Su Luo. After you boost your strength, you will have 1 day to use your power. After that, your spiritual energy will dry up drastically, and you will fall into a coma. You will only be able to wake up after a month. Remember this at all costs. All right? Presently inside the basement, Su Luo was holding the dragon jade in her hand. Gazing at the jade tinted with dark color, her beautiful pair of eyes gleamed mystically. 60th place on the dragon list, she needed to achieve this. Nevertheless, what she needed the most was to defeat Fairy Wuyu. A faint sneer appeared at the corner of Su Luo's mouth as she gripped the dragon jade tightly. If she were to surpass Fairy Wuyu in this examination, who knew how utterly infuriated the latter would be? This was something Su Luo really wished to see. The 3 days passed by quickly, and the examination would soon begin in another 5 hours. Su Luo gripped the dragon jade tightly. Ensuing wave after wave of spiritual energy gushed into her. In a split second, the originally dull dragon jade pendant became luminous. A plethora of brilliant and vivid rays of light radiated all around, making one unable to look away. The abundant spiritual energy instantly wrapped around Su Luo's body before quickly penetrating into her body. Su Luo was seated in a lotus position with her eyes closed as the peerless rays of light rushed into her body. Su Luo felt as if she was bathed in the warm spring breeze, and enwreathed in the melodious twitters of birds and the charming fragrance of flowers. It was as if she was in the midst of a sea of flowers. Boom! Su Luo sensed a violent sound suddenly resonating from her body. A strong aura that appeared seemingly out of nothingness flooded into her limbs and bones, filling her with so much comfort that she almost moaned out loud. She had ascended. In this short span of time, Su Luo actually managed to ascend to a 3-star saint rank. For others, it took several years just to advance one rank. However, for Su Luo, the process seemed astonishingly simple and unimpeded, as if she lifted her leg and stepped right through into it. If you believe Dark Heart would only help Su Luo advance by 1 star, you were gravely mistaken. Chapter 2435. Advancement 4. If that was all there was, how would it be worth Nangong Liuyun's attention, or even the Queen's? Bang dash! A softer sound rang out not even half an hour from the noise. Su Luo's body shuddered slightly before an indescribably comfortable feeling spread out, making her feel as though she was floating. So cozy. It was so comfortable that Su Luo wished that she could drift forever in this beautiful dream. 4-star saint rank. Within just an hour, Su Luo had already been promoted by 2 levels. This rate of promotion was simply too frightening. Anyone would absolutely lose their minds if they found out about it. If someone observed her closely then, they would clearly see the spiritual energy within Su Luo's body continue to rapidly grow. Bit by bit, it reached the threshold of 5-star saint rank. Bang! She had actually broken through. That meant that Su Luo had been promoted all the way to 5-star saint rank. Su Luo slowly opened her eyes. A sparkle flashed across her eyes, shining out with a myriad of colors. Su Luo was stunned by the speed of her promotion. That was why Nangong Liuyun had told her to take it easy when using it. By some miracle, she actually managed to advance by 3 stars. It took a long while before Su Luo came back to her senses. Then Su Luo's transmission jade vibrated slightly. Su Luo pulled it out to have a look. It was a message from Li Man. You have to leave right now for the exam venue, or you will be late. Li Man urged with a postscript. The 6th elder is also coming. The 6th elder? The exam was for students. What was the 8th elder coming over for? Su Luo was confused, but she quickly came to a realization. Had the 6th elder rushed over to protect her, because he was afraid that people would try to cause her trouble during the exam? The 8th elder was forced and had no other choice but to help her. However, the 6th elder was truly genuine in treating Su Luo like one of his own. The protectiveness he had over her was truly touching. Su Luo clenched her fists quietly. When her adoptive father returned, she would definitely fight for greater benefits for the 6th elder. Walking out of the underground room, Su Luo immediately spotted Li Man and the others. The group was waiting at the entrance for Su Luo to come out. Luo, why do you feel different from before? Li Man sized up Su Luo with confusion. She felt an aura of mystery emanating from Su Luo's body, and fear and dread subconsciously rose within her heart. Luo Qing also stared at Su Luo in shock. Su Luo had had the same cultivation realm as him before. However, he now found Su Luo to be covered in a cloud of obscurity. He was not even incapable of getting a glimpse of her cultivation realm. Facing the gaping expressions of the band, Su Luo smiled and naturally replied, I've only accidentally broken through a few ranks. There's nothing to be surprised about. Everyone was stunned into unmoving blocks of wood. Accidentally broken through a few ranks is nothing? There's nothing to be surprised about? Isn't that a major event capable of making people go insane? You are now. Li Man was so excited that she was unable to even speak properly. 5-star saint rank. The person who finished Li Man's sentence was not Su Luo, but the 6th elder. The 6th elder rushed before Su Luo and carefully looked her up and down, his eyeballs on the brink of popping out of their sockets in his state of incomparable shock. What is this? What in the world is this? Weren't you only at 2-star saint rank when I saw you a few days ago? Within 3 days of not seeing her, Su Luo had managed to raise her rank by 3 stars? A whole 3 stars. Was the world too crazy? Or is it him that was unable to keep up with the world? How frightening. The 6th elder was unable to come up with an answer. Throughout his long life, he had never seen such a sudden rise in someone's cultivation before. Chapter 2436. Advancement 5. After reaching the saint rank, it normally took months or even years to climb up one step. There had never been a case of advancing 3 stars in only 3 days. No matter how calm the sixth elder had been thus far, he was about to break out in a frenzy now. He wanted to cut Su Luo up and study her. It would definitely lead to this century's greatest innovation ever. Luo Luo, did you really advance 3 stars? 3 stars? Li Manman tugged on Su Luo's hands with excitement. Su Luo nodded calmly. I barely advanced 3 stars due to my lack of potential. Shocked by Su Luo's statement, Li Manman almost coughed up some blood. Nevertheless, she soon got excited again. She was jumping up and down like she was the one who had advanced 3 stars. This is awesome. Ha ha ha. Totally brilliant. It came at the perfect time. Today is the day of the trials, and Su Luo just advanced by 3 stars. Ha 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 ha. Li Manman had initially been worried that Su Luo wouldn't be able to get into the top 60 in the exam. However, she now believed that it would be fairly easy for her to obtain a spot in the top 60. Fairy Wuyu would probably go mad if she knew Luo Luo had advanced 3 stars just before the trials, right? Luo Luo, what happened exactly? Will there be side effects from you advancing so fast? Senior brother Luo Qing was always thoughtful and considerate. Su Luo nodded. It's a long story. It's not exactly something I can explain in just a few sentences. It's almost time for the trials anyway. Let's go there first, and we'll talk about this later. Everyone in her team was very obedient. Each one of them held back the excitement in their eyes and happily hurried to the trial location with animated motions. In addition to Su Luo, the other members of her team were also going to participate in this trial. Everyone headed to the destination together in a grandiose manner. Fortunately, with the sixth elder's protection, those people who tried to bother them withdrew upon seeing him. So Su Luo was able to get to her destination on time. Su Luo saw that and sneered inwardly. She certainly knew the identity of the person who hated her so much and desperately wanted her gone. No one else would do something this stupid except Fairy Wu Yu and Li Luoming. Sixth elder, words cannot express my appreciation for what you've done, Su Luo said calmly. Even though these people couldn't hurt her, they could have delayed her or possibly even barred her from participating in the trials. Being absent from a trial was considered as forfeiting one's position, so Su Luo would have had to leave. The sixth elder waved his hands. Even if I didn't come, these little obstacles are nothing to your current strength. But Su Luo chuckled. But they would certainly have wasted a lot of my time. See, even now, I'm almost late. There were many people standing at the front of the broad plaza. They were all students in the ranks of 50 to 100 on the dragon list. There was a separate trial location for those in the ranks of 1 to 50. The difference in strength was too great, so it was unsuitable to test them all together in the same place. Most people were standing, with the exception of just one person who sat comfortably without restraint on a soft and fluffy sofa with many men serving by her side. Needless to say, who else could enjoy this kind of luxury aside from Fairy Wu Yu? Moze's gaze deepened when he glanced at Su Luo. Then he leaned in to whisper something into Fairy Wu Yu's ear. Fairy Wu Yu barely lifted her eyelids to look in Su Luo's direction. Remaining calm and collected, she scoffed. Of course those petty tricks wouldn't get to her. It was originally Moze's idea to obstruct Su Luo on her way here. Fairy Wu Yu thought the probability of success was too low, so she didn't pay him any mind and merely let him do as he wished. Just as she had expected, nothing came of it. Fairy Wu Yu felt something was strange as she glanced over at Su Luo. However, the mystical light flashed by too fast, so she didn't catch the source of this unusual feeling. Chapter 2437 Advancement 6. What's wrong? Lin Banli and Moze asked with concern. Fairy Wu Yu appeared cold and solemn as she ruminated on that unusual feeling. She tried to grasp the aura that had flashed by just now. Intuitively, she had a hunch that there seemed to be looming danger lurking within. No matter how hard she mulled over it, she couldn't come up with anything. Thereupon, Fairy Wu Yu simply stood up and sauntered towards Su Luo with her head high and chest puffed. Marching up to her, Fairy Wu Yu stopped in front of Su Luo. Su Luo was calm and collected as she nonchalantly stood there while joking with Lin Manman, completely ignoring Fairy Wu Yu, who seemed to be glaring at her like a tiger watching its prey. Momentarily, Silence befell in the surroundings as everyone retreated a few steps behind. Consequently, Su Luo and Fairy Wuyo happened to be standing face to face at this moment, surrounded by a small circle of people. Fairy Wuyo scrutinized Su Luo from top to bottom, her eyebrows knitted tightly together into a character. You? Fairy Wuyo glared at Su Luo doubtfully, bewilderment evident in her eyes. Su Luo leisurely shot a glance at Fairy Wuyo, apathetic. Fairy Wuyo's anger instantly rose in her heart. She raised her hand and tried to slap Su Luo's face. In that quick moment, just when her hand was about to hit Su Luo's face, Su Luo's right hand already grasped Fairy Wuyo's arms. Su Luo glared at her coldly. You want to die? Fairy Wuyo was dumbfounded. So was everyone watching from around them. What the heck is happening right now? Wasn't Su Luo's power much weaker than Fairy Wuyo? Had she actually blocked Fairy Wuyo's hand with only 2 fingers? The crowds expressed disbelief. They rubbed their eyes over and over again, only to find that what they had seen was not a dream, but something that truly happened. Everyone was flabbergasted alike. At this moment, Fairy Wuyo was speechless as well. Furiously, she pulled her hand back. Unknown to the spectators, Fairy Wuyo's hand hidden in her wide sleeves was red and swollen, pulsing with pain. Who told Su Luo to be petty-minded? When she clutched Fairy Wuyo's hand, she unleashed her origin fire attribute. Even Fairy Wuyo would get burned when the fallen lotus was unleashed. How did you become so powerful? Fairy Wuyo glared at Su Luo. In her eyes, waves of envy, indignance, and astonishment seemed to condense to apparent bewilderment. With her hands behind her back, Su Luo gave her an insouciant glance. Powerful? I feel this is pretty average. That was a typical show-off one. Fairy Wuyo almost spat blood out of rage. Triple advancing. Su Luo, you advanced 3 stars all at once. Fairy Wuyo was finally certain of what she had seen. Su Luo indeed advanced 3 entire stars. 5-star saint rank. Lin Banli felt like he was dreaming. Su Luo had just entered commander rank when he saw her 6 months ago. But now in a blink of an eye, she was already more powerful than him. For a moment, Lin Banli just felt his future was bleak. He felt like his entire life had been a waste. It wasn't just Lin Banli. At this moment, everyone in the crowd looked at Su Luo with complicated emotions. Those gazes contained jealousy, envy, surprise, and disbelief, but it was mostly self-doubt and self-denial. So, there were indeed super geniuses like this. At this moment, Fairy Wuyo chuckled coldly. She pointed at Su Luo and accused, Su Luo, what kind of secret magic did you use to improve your strength this quickly? Do you intend to keep it for your own use? Don't you think you should share your method to the public, so everyone can benefit? Su Luo, you are too selfish. Chapter 2438, Advancement 7. Su Luo glanced at Fairy Wuyo. Finding an excuse to incriminate someone was not one. Fairy Wuyo finally used her wits to think of such an accusation to ostracize her. To give credit to Fairy Wuyo, her words were very effective. People were already madly jealous of Su Luo. After Fairy Wuyo's provocation, everyone instantly glared at Su Luo as if she was the greatest sinner for not sharing her secret method. Su Luo scoffed. She turned to Fairy Wuyo with an unreadable smile. Well then, even if I do have the non-existent special method, why would I share it? Please try to ask yourself the question. If you found a method of quick advancement, would you be willing to share it with everyone? Su Luo scanned the crowd and stopped at Fairy Wuyo's face. She raised her thin eyebrows pointedly. Our selfless Fairy Wuyo, would you be so kind to share your special method with the world if you have one? Would you? Fairy Wuyo was tongue-tied by the question. She moved her lips. No words came out of her. She wanted to say she would, but she knew the truth. No one would be so foolish as to share it with the public instead of hiding it for themselves. Fairy Wuyo's face twisted under many eyes. There was utter silence all around. Just at this moment, the Purgatory Tower of Trials broke out in powerful peals. Dang! The sound of the drum carried a sense of a great distance, resounding far and wide. The trial had officially begun. Basically, everyone knew the instructions of the trial. Su Luo herself had been lectured in detail by Li Manman many times. The Tower of Trials had 6 levels. Inside, every move was traced and analyzed by the system. Through an individual's performance, the system would accurately calculate their score and establish the ranking. One could not rank first solely based on power. Dang! The giant clock on the top of the tower signaled distantly, and the Scarlet Gate slowly opened. Whoosh! The crowd flooded through the gate of the Tower of Trials. The mass of experienced people jammed themselves inside like sardines. Su Luo and the squad were blocked at the back. Li Manman was anxious, jumping up and down, and hurrying those in front of them nonstop. Hurry up and go inside. Various voices objected. The front is blocked. We can't get over either. Su Luo looked at the pathway that seemed to be intentionally barricaded. She squinted. Was it like this before? Su Luo asked Li Manman. Not at all. I've gone to the trial several times, and it was always clear before. Who would have guessed it would get blocked completely this time? Li Manman couldn't stay still because of her nerves. Su Luo knew who at heart. The person who wanted to stop her from completing the mission was Fairy Wuyo. Perhaps Fairy Wuyo had not paid much attention to her before, but after seeing her advance to 5-star saint rank, Fairy Wuyo let her jealousy take over. After about 5 minutes, the pathway was clear again. Everyone rushed inside. Su Luo, Li Manman, and the others were pushed to the very back. Li Manman was panicking, but Su Luo kept her cool. The first level. It was a desert world. A light smoke blanketed the surface of the yellow sands. The heat was strong enough to make the body feel like it was burning. Chapter 2439. Advancement, 8. Su Luo had high heat tolerance, but Li Manman and the others didn't. We can't stay here for long. Hurry and look for the entrance for the next level, Su Luo commanded and immediately let out the little fox sable. Su Luo was always confident because she had a little fox sable that would automatically find the right path for her. At this moment, there were just a few people left in the desert, scattering around, about 7 to 8 of them. The rest of the participants had already entered the second level. It was quite obvious how much Su Luo had fallen behind. Every participant could check their ranking at any moment. Su Luo took the time to take the jade amulet out and couldn't help but bitterly smile after seeing her rank on it. Rank 100th. She was still number 100 on the dragon list right now, the last of the upstream mountain. Li Manman, Captain Luoqing, and the others were looking for the entrance hastily. Because of the constant increase of the temperature in this desert, there were only 2 options if they couldn't get out of it in time. The first was to forfeit and choose to leave the tower. The second was to be burned to coal. Luo, what should we do? Li Manman hurriedly stomped her feet on the ground. She was defeated at the first level last time, and didn't even get to come across the shadow of the door to the second level at all. Don't worry. I will take you all to the second level. Su Luo forced a smile seeing them roaming around like flies without heads. She said, all of you follow me. Li Manman and the others looked at Su Luo with doubts. In any case, they had previously tried the trials many times and gathered some experience. Could Su Luo really find the path on her first attempt? It was doubtful. However, people quickly gathered around Su Luo and followed behind due to their trust in her. Su Luo held the little fox sable in her arms and asked it to show her the full map of the first level. Now she could see the complete map in her mind. It was detailed with every little pathway and plant. The fire lizard grass. After multiple checks and comparisons, Su Luo found a cluster of messy footprints around the fire lizard grass. This proved that many people had stood there before. Follow me. Su Luo gave the order and flew forward like a strike of lightning. After her. Captain Luoqing waved his right hand, signaling the whole team to follow behind. And so, a group of people followed Su Luo and flew with her into the distance. The length and breadth of the desert were infinite. There was only yellow sand as far as the naked eye could see. Under the sky filled with yellow sands, it was easy to lose direction. But this was just for the majority of people. These obstacles were nothing to the Su Luo who had the complete map of the level. The few remaining stragglers saw Su Luo and the others flying to the east. They were full of suspicions and confusion, but still chose to see a dead horse as alive, and held on to a glimmer of hope because they didn't have any other choices. The fire lizard grass was located next to a desert poplar tree on the east side. The poplar tree had already died. Its trunk was withered but still stood firmly, and that tiny bunch of fire lizard grass was planted right around its roots. After arriving at the destination, everyone could tell without Su Luo explaining because a hole, wide enough to allow one person to enter at a time, had appeared on the trunk of the poplar tree. Luo, you're awesome. How did you know it was here from so far away? Li Man held Su Luo's hand with excitement, talking non-stop. Probably because I'm good at guessing, Su Luo giggled. We're already way behind. Let's hurry and go in now. Chapter 2440. Advancement 9. Su Luo thought those few people may not have found their way themselves. It was definitely Fairy Wuyo at the head with them following her. As for those 10, because they had been blocked at the entrance, they were unable to keep up with the team and had fallen behind. The space between the desert poplar trees was neither big nor small. It had just enough room for one person to pass through. Su Luo leading as the head, squeezed through first, and then the second, the third. Su Luo only felt a white light flash in front of her eyes, and when she opened them again, she was already in a completely different world. Unlike the previous blazing hot desert, here it surprisingly was a plateau with snowfall. When Su Luo came out, she found that there were at least a dozen people around. They were flying here and there in midair, searching for the secret path to the third level. Su Luo glanced around, finding no trace of Fairy Wuyo. It was apparent that she had taken her beloved ones to run to the third level. Perhaps they had even already run to the fourth level. When the people on the second level saw Su Luo coming up, a trace of surprise flashed in their eyes. How did you all come up so quickly? Hadn't they been intentionally blocked off before? To find that secret passage, based on their strengths, shouldn't they have had to search for a considerable long time? Li Man slid a cold glance over them. What is it? Do you have any problems? That person snorted coldly. I have no problems, however. The second level will let you off cheaply. What did you say? Li Man was so angry she clenched her fists. I said we will find the secret passage very soon. You guys have arrived and are just picking up everything already done for you. That person sneered, mocking them without words. No need for you guys to lead us, we can find the way ourselves. Li Man said in a huff. Then find it, if you have the ability. When we find the secret passage, you guys don't follow us there. That person's tone was cold, his words harsh. If we find the secret passage, you also can't follow us. Li Man coldly snorted twice. Watching the two people arguing, Su Luo felt that it was quite funny, and she pulled Li Man's hand. Let's go. Other people had to release their innate spiritual strength to search inch by inch for the entrance to the secret passage, but for Su Luo, there was no need for this at all. She only needed to open her mind, use the world map inside to sweep through it, and before long she would be able to find the hidden secret passage. Su Luo quickly flew towards the central place with Li Man and her group. After flying for a short time, Li Man felt that something was not right. She turned her head back and saw that the person she had been arguing with before was now following them step by step. Li Man ridiculed him. We have already found the secret passage. Don't follow us if you have the ability. That man held his communication amulet, glaring at Li Man in anger. If they could, who would want to follow behind them? But the problem was, just now his friend had sent him a message via the communication amulet, saying he had already found the secret passage and telling him to just follow the roadmap. Who knew that this roadmap was actually the same one Li Man and the others took? Hey, didn't you agree not to follow us? Hurry and move away. Li Man waved her hand at the man behind them. The man was half dead with anger, and at last he took a deep breath and asked Li Man, "Where are you guys going?" Li Man furrowed her eyebrows with contempt. "We are going to the place where the secret passage is. Who do you think you are? Why should I tell you?" That man was so angry he gasped for breath heavily. He wanted to fly ahead, but the problem was that Li Man Man and the others were flying at high speed, so he could not overtake them and could only miserably hang in the back. Chapter 2441. Advancement 10. Li Man Man even turned around and mocked him with a few sentences as she flew. The man was so enraged that his complexion was blue, but he could only turn his head aside. In his heart, he prayed fiercely for Li Man Man and the others to stop halfway or shift directions. But to his disappointment, Li Man Man's group actually maintained a consistent flying speed along his communication amulet's route. Did that friend also send the road map to Li Man Man's group? After flying for about 2 hours, Su Luo finally led everyone to the central region. And there in the central region was a dilapidated hut. It stood in the cold wind, weathered down to what was almost an empty shell. The thatched straw had long disappeared, but some blocks of wood remained fixed in place. A person was standing alone in front of the shack. Su Luo realized she recognized that person Moze, a man who was highly favored by Fairy Wuyo. When Moze saw Su Luo leading the way and landing, a trace of violence instantly flashed across his eyes. He stared at Su Luo viciously. How did you all get here? Su Luo turned a blind eye to him. Fairy Wuyo could converse and address her as an equal, but Moze did not have the qualification to do so. Li Man Man rudely laughed at Moze for a moment, but she did not talk to him either. When she passed by him, she bumped into him fiercely. Moze was caught off guard and stumbled backwards several steps. He wanted to curse at them, but Captain Luo Qing and the few others waved their fists at Moze. It was clear as to what their message was. If you dare say any foul words, our fists will be waiting to serve you. Moze suppressed his rage somewhat before roaring at the last person. I waited here just for you. Yet you return the favor by bringing along these people? Aren't you letting me down, Yan Wenqing? Yan Wenqing found himself in quite an uncomfortable situation. The ridicule he received from Li Man Man along the way left him with a stomach of fire that he had bottled up. Upon being scolded by Moze, all of it burst out instantly. How did I bring them over? It was clearly. Yan Wenqing felt too humiliated to confess the truth of the matter in front of Li Man Man. Clearly what? Moze swept a glance towards him. He clearly followed behind us to get here. If you have a heart, you should at least pay us for leading the way. Li Man Man extended a hand towards Yan Wenqing. In fact, for this kind of assessment, it was the norm to use points to buy a guide for the correct route. If Li Man Man had really brought Yan Wenqing here, it was a given that she would ask him to pay her a fee for guiding the way. Li Man Man caused Yan Wenqing to be at a loss for words. Choking with anger, his expression turned red. It wasn't you who led the way, we just happened to be on the same path. If thinking this way will make you feel better, then sure. Li Man Man laughed magnanimously. Yan Wenqing. He really wanted to hit someone. Su Luo pulled away Li Man Man, who was deliberately provoking Yan Wenqing. Time is short, let's go. Then Su Luo led the Xiao Luo team into the straw hut. In the middle of the shelter, there was a circle-shaped rune on the floor. The entire circle was fluorescent, and it emitted a brilliant light. Su Luo stepped in with one foot, then her body was transported away. Her team followed her and entered as well. Moze glared at Yan Wenqing. Look at what you did. Your performance was so poor. See if Fairy Wuyo will accept you now. Yan Wenqing was about to cry. Old Mo, I really didn't bring them here. Moze clearly did not believe him. Yan Wenqing tried to explain himself. He said, I know you don't believe me, but I always feel like that Su Luo already seems to know very well where the secret paths are. Chapter 2442. Wrongfully Accused One. Oh. Moze frowned slightly. I saw Su Luo and the others come up from the first level earlier. Rather than explore, she directly locked onto the target and headed towards this thatched cottage. Tell me this, if she didn't know this was the entrance to the secret path from the start, how could she have flown straight here? Are you telling the truth? Moze grabbed Yan Wenqing's collar. If this was the case, this was a serious problem, as that meant that there was a traitor around Fairy Wuyo. The traitor had definitely told Su Luo the correct path. Otherwise, how could she have known this route? Are you sure you didn't tell her? Emoze stared at Yan Wenqing seriously. Brother Emo, would I have dared to come along if I really did this? Am I looking for death? Yan Wenqing also felt aggrieved. Emoze thought for a moment. That was indeed the case. Would Yan Wenqing have dared to follow me if he really wanted to betray me? Yan Wenqing's words made Emoze believe with 90% certainty that Yan Wenqing wasn't the traitor. He grabbed the communication amulet, called Fairy Wuyo, and told her about this matter. There's a traitor among us? A hint of suspicion flashed across her eyes as she calmly surveyed her surroundings. Yes. According to Yan Wenqing, Su Luo unhesitantly went straight to the secret path. This is very suspicious. Your words make sense. Fairy Wuyo frowned deeply. Being paranoid by nature, she began to mentally examine her followers one by one after hearing Emoze's words. There weren't many people who knew that path. However, the number wasn't very small either, so it was a little difficult to sift through them. Nevertheless, Fairy Wuyo glanced over Lin Banli. Lin Banli had always had a good relationship with Luo Yichen. Therefore, there was no guarantee that he wouldn't secretly help Su Luo due to his relationship with Luo Yichen. Fairy Wuyo recalled that Emoze had secretly complained to her that Lin Banli was rather friendly with Su Luo. Lin Banli was her most valued person. As long as he didn't betray her, it didn't matter even if other people did. Therefore, Fairy Wuyo was focused on Lin Banli. Not knowing that he was being suspected by Fairy Wuyo, Lin Banli continued to accompany her eagerly and diligently. By this time, Fairy Wuyo had already found the exit of the third level. There were 4 people accompanying her besides Lin Banli. Fairy Wuyo quietly collected the communication tablets from the 4 people. However, she didn't collect Lin Banli's communication tablet. Come on. Let's go in. Fairy Wuyo held Lin Banli and together, they entered the secret portal. Lin Banli smiled gently and dotingly at Fairy Wuyo. I'll go ahead first. Afraid that the 4th floor would be dangerous, he was willing to take the lead and shield her from all dangers. Fairy Wuyo took a long look at Lin Banli. Raising the corner of her eyes ever so slightly, she shot an ambiguous smile at him. Little Lindsay, I trust you very much. I know. Lin Banli warmly returned the smile with a hint of gentleness in his eyes. Don't betray me. Fairy Wuyo provocatively traced her finger along the outline of Lin Banli's pointed chin while her beautiful eyes brimmed with an incomparably charming glint. Otherwise, Fairy Wuyo changed her hand into a claw and made what seemed like a grabbing move at Lin Banli's handsome face. Lin Banli held her unruly hand and gently brought it to his lips. He stared at her affectionately and solemnly declared, "Even if I die, I will not betray you, unless..." Chapter 2443. Wrongfully Accused 2. Unless what? Unless you don't want me anymore. Lin Banli's eyes gleamed with determination. Unbeknownst to him, Fairy Wuyo had already suspected him. At this stage, she was merely testing him. Fairy Wuyo raised the corners of her lips. Little thing, you know you are this sister's favorite. Go on. She patted Lin Banli's buttocks like she was hurrying a horse. Lin Banli blushed slightly and nodded before darting down the secret path. After Lin Banli informed her that there was no danger, Fairy Wuyo and some others followed him. Just as Fairy Wuyo was leaving the 3rd floor, Su Luo's group happened to arrive there. The first level was a desert, and the second was a snowy area. Meanwhile, the 3rd level was a vast and boundless grassland. At first glance, it was lush like a thick green blanket laid on the ground. Just the sight of it would make a person feel happy. This level was still full of people. Most people were probably stuck on it. When Su Luo came in, she opened the map and started searching. Su Luo had the little fox sable as a cheat. Even so, she could only keep up with the majority so far. She didn't know what Fairy Wuyo relied on that helped her get so far ahead of everyone else. While searching, she pondered. Su Luo used her one brain in 2 ways with full concentration. While Su Luo was thinking, Emoze kept staring at her. Emoze and Yan Wenqing were right behind Su Luo's team. They monitored Su Luo's every move. Whether Linbanli could be knocked off his high horse in one fell swoop depended on this move. Because of this, Mose expressed his eagerness while following Su Luo. Who was Su Luo? Even if she could not guess all of Mose's intentions, she must have guessed at least 80% of it. Su Luo smiled internally. She already knew where the secret path was, but she couldn't go there directly because it would make Mose suspicious. The best way was to. Su Luo stepped aside and took out her green communication amulet. She said a few words and swiftly closed it with a click. She did all of it discreetly and quickly. If one were not staring at her the entire time, it would be extremely difficult to spot her small movements. However, because Mose had been watching Su Luo, he had anticipated something like this. Therefore, when he saw Su Luo take out the green communication amulet, he formed a conclusion in his mind. Mose saw Su Luo frown shift into a smile once she put down the communication amulet, and he became even more sure of it. Follow me. Su Luo waved her hand suddenly with the aura of a leader. Mose acted deliberately prickly. Do you even know the way? Don't carelessly walk around. This place is very big. Yan Wenqing added to Mose's provocation. How do you know the way when you haven't even looked for it yet? Su Luo snapped back defensively. Who let you follow us? It's actually better if you don't. Come on, you choose then. Which direction will you go? North, south, east, west? She was obviously trying to kick them out so that the Shaluo team could enter the fourth floor. Mose couldn't let this happen, so he changed the subject. Do you know the correct route? Su Luo grinned but stayed silent. Mose pushed the question further. How do you know the correct route? However, Su Luo just sneered. Mose said, I saw that you used the communication amulet just now. Did someone else? Su Luo gave him a hard look. Don't you ever feel embarrassed about being such a verbose man? Her attitude made it seem as if Mose had hit the nail on the head with what he said. So Mose's 80% certainty turned into 90%. Su Luo, on the other hand, didn't know that she had sentenced Linbanli to death by teasing Mose. Chapter 2444. Wrongfully Accused 3. Mose insisted on following Su Luo. He was like her tail and couldn't be shaken off. And because of Mose and Yan Wenqing's relationship, the rest of the students also naturally gathered to their location. Consequently, Su Luo's once small team gradually accumulated into a throng of several dozen people. Su Luo glanced at Mose. Are you so sure that I can find the way? Mose sneered. Miss Su, don't try to hide it. I just saw you use the communication amulet. So what if I use the communication amulet? Don't you use one as well? Or is there a rule here that no one is allowed to use it? Su Luo lightly curled her lips. People don't talk in secret if there is nothing to hide. Miss Su, we all know very well what you used the communication tablet for just a moment ago. Su Luo smiled. Then tell me, what did I use the communication amulet for? Mose squinted and stared at Su Luo before saying quietly in her ear. Although this kind of thing is not explicitly prohibited, you will lose points if this comes to light. Miss Su, if you are willing to tell me who that was, perhaps I can. Are you threatening me? Su Luo grinned coldly. So what if I'm threatening? Mose couldn't even complete his sentence before Su Luo punched his abdomen. Ouch! Mose's whole body curled up in pain like a cooked shrimp. Su Luo's punch was so powerful that it almost knocked Mose out. You still dare threaten me? Su Luo laughed. Mose became really angry. He pointed his finger at Su Luo and growled. You! If you dare to say one more word, I assure you that you will be thrown outside the tower within the next second. Su Luo said solemnly, successfully shutting Mose up. Mose believed that Su Luo would really do it. He had a complicated impression of Su Luo. At first he thought she was just an insignificant and naive little girl. Gradually, that naive little girl exposed more of her great potential, and he grew shocked and jealous. Although Mose kept silent, the others in the team didn't. Hey, are you guys able to do it? Don't lead us the wrong way. Why do we have to follow Su Luo? Is she really capable? If you guys are not sure of the way, just say it so that we don't waste our time walking in vain. Many of them didn't trust Su Luo, who was participating in the test for the first time. Thus they spoke out of turn one by one. Then the long queue suddenly stopped. This was because Su Luo, the leader, had halted. She turned around. Her hard gaze swept over the faces of these people like a cold stream. The chatter of doubt and complaints, as well as the surrounding environment, suddenly fell silent. Su Luo addressed them all flatly. Firstly, I'm not actually sure of the right way. Secondly, I didn't force or even ask you to follow me. I would be happier if you left. Thirdly, I'm going to take the northeast direction. The crowd could only reply, "Ha." Su Luo summarized. Therefore, those who want to follow, shut your mouths. Those who do not, hurry up and get the hell out of my way. The crowd. Su Luo was so fierce. Su Luo's outburst of fury had a significant effect. Those who had been grumbling no longer complained, as bystanders would now interject the moment they did so. If you don't trust Su Luo, then hurry along and get lost. Anyone with complaints from then on was blocked off, flushing their face and ears red with shame. Chapter 2445. Wrongfully Accused 4. The previously noisy group became calm at that moment. Everyone flew northeast with all their strength. Of course, not everyone trusted Su Luo. About 7 or 8 people decided to trust in their own judgment and leave the group. On the other hand, Fairy Wuyo had long since given Moze the correct route. The gloom in his eyes grew more and more intense as he watched Su Luo fly through the correct route. Traitor! There had to be a traitor. Otherwise, how could Su Luo have known the exact route so conveniently? Sure enough, Su Luo stopped in front of a well. Moze secretly avoided Su Luo's line of sight and walked to a secluded place. He took out the communication amulet from within his sleeves and reported to Fairy Wuyo on the spot. Sure enough, someone really tipped off Su Luo. Oh. Fairy Wuyo swept a glance at Lin Banli as she stretched out every syllable of her sentence. Tell us about her performance. After Su Luo entered the 3rd level, she didn't fumble around like the others. She took out her communication tablet and spoke a few words. Then she immediately identified the exact direction and correctly followed the route till the end. Moze's voice carried a hint of eagerness. It was hard to hide his excitement. Fairy Wuyo had always favored Lin Banli, so Moze always felt suffocated with him around. Only after kicking Lin Banli out would Moze shine brightly. When Fairy Wuyo heard Moze's words, she raised her brows and forgot about Lin Banli. Because her situation was not stable at the moment, Fairy Wuyo only said to Moze, "Got it." Then she snapped the communication amulet shut and hung up. As for how she would follow up with this matter, Fairy Wuyo did not explain. Although Fairy Wuyo hung up without saying anything, Moze felt very excited. He knew Li Banli would be dead once his betrayal was confirmed. Fairy Wuyo hated those who betrayed her the most. At this moment, Su Luo was standing by the well. She said to Li Man, "This is the entrance to the 4th level." Before Li Man managed to reply, someone sneered eerily. Jumping into the well? Su Luo actually wants us to jump into the well? Simply ridiculous. Other people followed suit and started to make a lot of noise. I've never even heard of placing an entrance within a well. She's deliberately setting us up, isn't she? Anyway, I'm not going to jump. You guys can go ahead if you want to. Everyone was furious. They had patiently flown with Su Luo for such a long time, only for her to bring them to a well and ask them to jump. Su Luo's cold gaze swept over their faces while she said, "You're not going to jump, right? Very well. Remember your words. You'd be slapping your own faces if you end up jumping in." After that, Su Luo pulled Li Man and instantly jumped into the deep bottomless well. The well's mouth was very foggy, making it impossible to see the scene inside. Even after a long time, nobody heard the sound of heavy objects hitting the ground. Was it because the well was too deep? Or because this was indeed the entrance? No one could decide. Senior brother Luo Qing gave them a mocking glance. "You guys had better not jump, okay? It'll definitely kill you." Then, the people with him jumped into the deep well one by one, and their figures were instantly swallowed up. Everyone. Who would have thought that this place really was the entrance? At this time, Emoze's mouth formed a bizarre sneer. He casually commented, "This is probably the entrance, but I'm kinda surprised. How was Su Luo so certain of it?" Chapter 2446. Wrongfully Accused 5. Happy Thanksgiving. The surrounding people thought about it and realized, that's right. From the very beginning, Su Luo had been flying towards this direction without wasting a single moment throughout, showing that she had known about this route ahead of time. Emoze saw that everyone had taken his bait, so he struck again while the iron was hot. But, how could Su Luo know about this route? Unless, could it be that someone told her about it? The people exclaimed in unison. Everyone seemed to collectively reach an epiphany at this moment. In that case, there must be someone who secretly told Su Luo the correct route. Who would be that nice to Su Luo, telling her for free? It definitely was information bought using points. That's cheating. If an investigation confirms it to be true, her results should be forfeit. In an instant, everyone flew into a frenzy. These people had completely forgotten that Su Luo was the one who brought them here earlier. Having completely forgotten about Su Luo's kindness, they were instead ungrateful for it, repaying kindness with malice. It was all because they were envious of Su Luo of the speed of her cultivation and advancement, or of her knowledge of the correct route. At that moment, everyone shouted agitatedly one by one, "Su Luo is cheating! Cheating must be strictly punished! Down with Su Luo! Kick Su Luo out of here! Kick Su Luo out of here!" Finally, these sentences coalesced into one call, loud enough to shake the heavens and earth. Emoze secretly smiled in his heart, but maintained uncertainty on his face. Maybe we are wrongly accusing Su Luo? Perhaps. There is no perhaps. I saw it with my own eyes. Su Luo took out her communication amulet, muttered a few words, and then immediately rushed here. If we take Su Luo's communication amulet and go through it, we will have enough proof to show that she's cheating. Exactly. We must force Su Luo out. We absolutely must force her out. Seeing that the crowd was starting to get agitated again, Emoze waved his hand. Su Luo is now on the 4th level. To force her out, we must first go to the 4th level. In just a brief instant, Emoze had become the leader of this group of people. So, with their jealousy and hatred towards Su Luo, everyone lined up and jumped into the well. Emoze and Yan Wenqing were at the very back. After all of the others jumped into the well, Emoze patted Yan Wenqing's shoulder, chuckling as he said, "Brother, thanks a lot." Yan Wenqing was at a loss. What are you thanking me for? He hadn't helped Emoze with anything, right? Emoze laughed wordlessly. Although Yan Wenqing hadn't helped Emoze directly, he had done Emoze a great favor. This time, Emoze could finally kick out Lin Banli, simultaneously forcing his troubles on Su Luo. Both of these things brought him immense delight. Yan Wenqing felt a slight chill flash through his heart when he saw the strange smile on Emoze's face. Meanwhile, on the 4th level, when Su Luo went up to the 4th level, Fairy Wuyo hadn't left yet. So, this meant that essentially all the people in the examination were currently gathered on the 4th level. Nobody had been able to get up to the 5th level yet. This was because the 4th level wasn't that easy to pass. In the Tower of Trials, the higher one went, the greater the difficulty would be, and the 4th level was a Watershita trial stone meant to eliminate many. Unlike the first 3 levels where the focus was just searching for a route, the risk factor in the 4th level was several times greater. At this moment, Fairy Wuyo was looking at the giant creature in front of her, and her pupils shrank slightly. There was a huge golden dragon. With a stature that appeared to be at least 10 kilometers in length, the golden dragon was unmatched in size. Its big head was enormous as a 10-floor building, and its eyes were gigantic. This golden dragon was incomparably strong, and was actually a monarch rank. Chapter 2447. Wrongfully Accused 6. Happy Thanksgiving. The shock of the discovery paralyzed all the people on the 4th level. Fortunately, this enormous golden dragon was asleep at this very moment. Its eyes were shut tightly, and its snores were as loud as thunder, jolting the hearts of everyone there, who didn't wish to run far, far away from this giant golden dragon. The only problem was, the 4th level was an enclosed space, with glossy stone walls closing in on all 4 sides like a prison cell. Fairy Wuxia knew that there was only one exit, which was on the ceiling above the giant golden dragon's head. However, despite being in a deep sleep, the giant golden dragon continued to puff out wisps of golden dragon breath from its mouth. Each exhale was a golden cloud, fluttering about in the air. As the number of people in the room grew larger and larger, someone eventually attempted to pass through the small man-sized hole on the ceiling. Nevertheless, the hole was situated right next to the dragon's breath, so that person was engulfed in the golden fog before he even got near the hole's entrance. The golden fog churned about like a blender, and the man let out miserable and painful shrieks. A white light suddenly flashed across, signifying that he was sent out of the Tower of Trials, and that this competition was over for him. A slight frown formed on Fairy Wuxia's face. The pressure that the giant golden dragon placed on her was truly too great. Just as Fairy Wuxia felt helpless in the face of this crisis, Su Luo and the little Luo squad arrived, accompanied by a long line of people behind her. When the crowd saw her, they rushed forward and forced her team into the middle. "What are you all doing?" Seeing the angry mob, Li Manman shot her own glare back at them. "This is all your fault, Su Luo." One of them was so overcome by anger that he pointed at Su Luo and proceeded to curse out a storm. Su Luo was stunned by the curses directed at her. Wrinkling her forehead, she turned to the person. "What's the matter? How dare you still dare to ask what's the matter? It's all because of you, and you don't even know it yourself?" The person pointed his finger at Su Luo in furious anger. Despite how self-controlled Su Luo was, she could not stand being scolded and cursed at like that. She raised her hand and pointed at the man. "Ah!" The guy screamed and looked down. A mushy substance sat in his hand where his finger once was. "You!" The person jumped about in pain, though he did not dare to extend another finger out to point at Su Luo again. "Talk with some sense if you have something to say. Otherwise, scram." Su Luo always gave this warning. Li Manman walked forward and chimed in. "That's right, you lot of crazed idiots. Exactly what has Luo Luo done? Did she kill your families or exterminate your entire clans? What the hell are you guys so worked up about exactly? Can't you just speak properly?" Although Li Manman's martial abilities and cultivation realm were scraping the bottom of the barrel in upstream mountain, her debate skills were truly unmatched around here. "Su Luo cheated," someone burst out indignantly from among the crowd. "Cheated? What did she cheat on? Who saw it? Who can prove it? If you can step out right now," Li Manman sneered. "If you dare to slander people, you need to have the courage to face the consequences." "We are not trying to slander her. We have proof." "That's right, we have proof. Su Luo cheated in order to obtain the correct path. Su Luo was communicating with someone with a transmission jade. We all saw it. I ask all of you, if Su Luo didn't cheat, how was she able to accurately find the correct exit without any confirmation or checks? How did she do that? Su Luo cheated. Her results need to be reset." Chapter 2448. Wrongfully Accused 7. Su Luo cheated. She must be kicked out. One voice roared out after another, with each one being more resounding than the last. Fortunately, they were far enough away from where the giant golden dragon rested for the voices to not carry over. Su Luo was practically laughing with indignation at this confrontation. Cheating? Oh, her apologies. She, Su Luo, had in fact cheated. However, it was not through the communication amulet. Rather, it was with her spirit pet, the little fox Sable, who made it so her little fox Sable could naturally find the correct route. What about this method of cheating? Others could only envy her for it. Meanwhile, Li Manman was seething with anger. She extended her pale, slender arm and pointed at the mob. You and the rest of you. You bunch of ungrateful jerks, idiots, morons. Did you guys forget who received so much slander and still magnanimously brought you guys to the exit? Have you forgotten who it was that slandered others? And who it was that bravely jumped down first? You need to open your eyes and look clearly at the facts. Su Luo brought you out without asking for even a cent for her services. And what did she get in return? You guys are repaying her kindness with hostility, surrounding your benefactor, trapping her, and even falsely accusing her of cheating? You guys are just shameless. Look at your hearts. Do you think what you're doing is morally right? Did your jealousy really destroy your rationality? Is this how you repay her kindness ungratefully and with hostility? Li Manman's rebuking speech of righteousness was so effective that it rendered those people were dumbfounded. Left with their words stuck in their throats, they were too embarrassed to continue. In an instant, the entire crowd quieted down. Realizing that he was left at a disadvantage, Emoze opened his mouth to throw out a couple of provoking lines. However, Su Luo's icy gaze swept in his direction. You were the one who told me the correct route, yet now you're turning around to slander me. Emoze, are you not ashamed of yourself? Huh. Emoze responded with bewilderment. Still feeling stunned, the people in the crowd slowly shifted their attention towards Emoze's face one by one. In his indignation, he once again tried to defend himself, only to have Su Luo sneer. Fairy Wuyo was the first one to enter the 4th floor. And as you're someone who Fairy Wuyo dotes, you're the only person who could know the correct route. If you didn't tell me, who else could it have been? The crowd glared at Emoze. This man was simply despicable. A superscript 1? A, Yini, A, 1/2 A, superscript 1 1/4, C, A, cent I 1/4, A plus or minus, C, paragraph A with ring above plus or minus A, 1/2 A, C, I 1/4. He had deliberately provoked them to cause a fuss with Su Luo earlier, only for it to be he himself who had told Su Luo the route. Su Luo laughed coldly. Didn't you guys want to repay your gratitude with vengeance? Look carefully, for the one who deserves your vengeance is him. Su Luo pushed Emoze and nonchalantly left with her Xiao Luo squad away. Emoze faced a crowd of vengeful gazes that belonged to those who felt he'd played them like a fiddle, or treated them like puppets in the palm of his hand. Let's get out of here. They all left. Emoze. The situation changed too quickly. Before Emoze had time to react, everyone had already gone. That band of scumbags. Emoze swore silently. If it weren't for their envy of Su Luo, how could they have taken the bait so easily? Yet now they've all come to blame me? And that disgusting girl. Su Luo, she truly does not have any shame? To think that she dared to lie so blatantly too, that it was I that told her? Yen Wenqing patted Emoze's shoulder sympathetically. Emoze said unhappily, why are you pitying me? I still won. In order to cover for Lin Banli, Su Luo had forged the truth and framed Emoze. Haha, did she really think Fairy Wuyo was an idiot? Lin Banli definitely had to be gotten rid of this time. Emoze clenched his fists tightly, and his eyes flashed with malice. Chapter 2449, Split 1. When Su Luo walked over, Fairy Wuyo was still brooding at the same spot. She still hadn't thought of a plan to reach the 5th floor. However, as time went on, the clusters of yellow fog grew in number as they drifted around in the air like numerous floating sandbags. A careless person could easily collide into one, Li Manman exclaimed. What a huge dragon! Fairy Wuyo stared daggers at Li Manman. A silent palm strike exploded towards Li Manman. Her warning was very obvious. It meant only 2 words. Shut up. This was because shrill sounds would wake the giant golden dragon up. Li Manman definitely couldn't defend against Fairy Wuyo's attack. Thus, Su Luo stepped forward and stood in front of Li Manman, nullifying Fairy Wuyo's attack. However, Su Luo instantly felt a tinge of sweetness in her throat, before the metallic taste of blood gushed up. Su Luo calmly swallowed the metallic taste without batting an eye, acting as if nothing had happened. Fairy Wuyo's gaze swept across Su Luo's body, and her eyes burned with flames of fury. Had time permitted, she definitely wouldn't have let Su Luo take this hit so easily. HMPF. Fairy Wuyo snorted heavily. At the same time, the snores of the originally sleeping giant golden dragon suddenly stopped. Everyone was shocked. Subconsciously, everyone started scrambling backwards frantically. A thought flashed across everyone's minds. The giant golden dragon is awakening. Everyone retreated, leaving only 2 people behind. One was Fairy Wuyo, and the other was naturally Su Luo. These 2 people both wanted to seize the opportunity to fly to the 5th floor, when the giant golden dragon awakened. However, this matter was fated to be a false alarm. The giant golden dragon raised its head and flicked its tail. Upon finding a comfortable position, it started snoring again. Everyone let out a sigh of relief. Following this, those who had flown far away flew back to their original positions one by one. Fairy Wuyo's face had turned even sourer now, and Su Luo also looked depressed. The giant golden dragon had indeed moved. However, this wasn't any better than when it didn't move. Earlier, its dragon breath was similarly pointed towards the entrance, but it was just slightly off. Now it was much better. The dragon breath was angled just right, and it shot out like a cannonball towards the tunnel. Moreover, as more and more people came over, their voices became noisier and noisier, until even Fairy Wuyo's authority could not suppress them. Fairy Wuyo glared at these people harshly. Afterwards, she grabbed a person beside her and cruelly threw them towards the tunnel. The person cried out. Then as their body was consumed by the yellow dragon breath, their screams of agony rang out nonstop. Fairy Wuyo took advantage of this moment. Her body moved, and with a swift flash, she turned into a streak of white light and suddenly rushed into the narrow tunnel. Whoosh! With a soft noise, the figure of Fairy Wuyo was already gone. This meant that Fairy Wuyo had finally reached the 5th floor successfully. It was just a pity for the man she used as cannon fodder. Li Banli's reaction was extremely fast. Just as Fairy Wuyo was doing this, he was already copying her actions. He reached out and grabbed someone before swiftly leaping up. Whoosh! Li Banli also went in. This approach was the strong blatantly using the weak. Naturally, the weak could only become cannon fodder here. The consecutive successes of Fairy Wuyo and Li Banli stirred up everyone's excitement. Chapter 2450. Split, 2. Thus, the others rushed to copy what they were doing. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The experts ranked 50 to 60 were all exceptionally skilled. Their bodies turned into streaks of light as they shot into the tunnel. Let's go up as well. Su Luo pulled Li Man and was about to take off. However, before Su Luo could move her body, another few streaks of white light whooshed by, and 6 people flew up one after the other. Ah! Someone screamed out loudly, giving a woeful cry of pain. He wailed endlessly as his body was enveloped by the yellow fog. He felt pain as if his body was being ripped apart. Although dying in the Tower of Trials wasn't a real death, pain was simulated to a 100% likeness of the real thing. Several more cries belonging to other people rang out in succession. Out of the 6 people that had just flown up, only 2 of them escaped death. The remaining 4 were enveloped by the yellow fog. Confident in her ability to successfully bring Li Man out, Su Luo took advantage of this gap and quickly flew up. Nevertheless, mankind's schemes were ultimately inferior to those made by the heavens. At that very instant, 5 people flew up alongside her. However, their aim wasn't the tunnel entrance but Su Luo herself. Their objective was to knock Su Luo down. If Su Luo failed this trial, she would be kicked out of Upstream Mountain. Thus, failing wasn't an option for her. At that decisive moment, Li Man pushed Su Luo towards the tunnel. Simultaneously, Luo Qing and the others also shot upwards, rushing towards the rest of the people. Luo Qing and the others latched onto their opponent's legs, quickly pulling them downwards. Clank clank. In the end, this kind of suicidal method still proved effective. They each hung onto one enemy and rolled towards the ground. But this ground, it had to be known that directly below the tunnel was the giant golden dragon's head. So Luo Qing, Li Man, and the others all fell onto the top of the giant golden dragon's head. The giant golden dragon was originally sleeping soundly. With its thundering snores, the dragon wouldn't wake up no matter how noisy it got. However, after being smacked a few times like this, the snoring immediately stopped. The entire place instantly became like a vacuum. Not a single sound escaped. The giant golden dragon opened its huge eyes and swept its gaze across these tiny little ants. You mere humans dare disturb my slumber. The giant golden dragon was furious. A long stream of dragon breath spewed out towards the front. From an observer's perspective, the dragon's mouth seemed to balloon with water before spewing it out from left to right in the shape of a folding fan. However, what the giant golden dragon spewed out was dragon bray, the surge of flames. In a moment, the group of people standing far away was instantly engulfed by the sea of fire. Each person tried to protect their heads while rolling around in the sea of fire and wailing out in pain. Their screams rang out incessantly. Something worth mentioning was that the giant golden dragon stood up to spew fire. This meant that when it stood up, Li Man Man and the others who had fallen onto its head were now, surprisingly, pushed upwards, reaching the exit everyone was fighting to get to. Li Man Man, Luo Qing, his teammates. They all stared at each other as joy flashed in their eyes. Whoosh whoosh whoosh. The few of them rushed upwards. Those people who had been blocking Su Luo saw the opportunity and also quickly charged upwards. As for those people on the ground, they were all currently suffering from the giant golden dragon's morning breath. Each and every one of them was burnt to a crisp until only a streak of white light remained, which then quickly vanished from the spot. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.